goodness.
We can't ask too many questions.
7.
You just jinxed us. We're here till 9.
Like, what do you do, but I'm just.
Heads up for tonight.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It is 3:30, and we are at the Committee of the Whole, June 18th, 2024. I'm Pam Potter. I would like to excuse Councilmember Paul Pickett and Councilwoman Rosalba Dominguez, and we have the other two council members, Adam Hawk and Diane Turner. Welcome, Mayor. Welcome, everybody that is out in the audience area. First thing we need to do is there any kind of questions or any corrections on the minutes for
May 21st, 2024.
Yep. Thank you.
I don't have any. Do you have any since it's just us?
I don't have any. I didn't see anything.
Would you like a motion?
I would love to take one, or I can just say all in favor, say aye.
No, first I need to do a motion.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Well, I was just, okay. Sorry, Diane, you are correct. I was wrong. Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the Committee of the Whole for May 21st, 2024.
I will second that.
Thank you, and all in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Thank you. Well, there you go.
None opposed.
Okay, our first agenda item, discussion item is Human Resource Department report is by Robin Colton. Robin, you have 30 minutes.
And you need to take every minute.
Yep. Well, if you can shorten it.
Oh, she gave you permission to shorten it.
Oh, thank you.
Or not.
Well, thanks for having me. So this is the HR team. We're a lean, mean machine in my office, right? So Nadine and Jennifer are both analysts. Nadine's primarily responsible for recruiting, compensation, and job descriptions in my office. And then Jennifer Stout is primarily in charge of onboarding and benefits. However, we do strive to cross-train as much as we can in my office so that if someone's out, we can, better help employees when they come in.
What does onboarding mean?
So the new hire process.
Oh, okay.
So then just a quick overview right now of the personnel here in Murray City. Right now we have 708 employees. So 395 are full-time, 307 part-timers, 6 elected officials. The average years of service of our employees is 11 years. It's trending down a little lower. We've had a lot of the old-timers retiring in the past few years. However, if you see right there, our longest tenured employee is 48 years, so it's amazing. I think then Kim Sorensen is just behind this employee at 41 years, so.
So where does the employee work, the one that's been?
And Parks and Rec as well.
Oh, wow, really?
So I think before Power Department had the longest tenured employees and now it's Parks and Rec.
I did not
So,
realize we had someone, I knew we had someone about 43, 44, but 48 years.
yeah, it's
Wow.
pretty crazy.
Is
And
that
then Kim,
48
is that-
full-time years or part-time and
So
full-time?
part-time and full-time,
Okay,
Wow.
it's still,
yeah.
wow.
So then the turnover lately, so you see in 2021, it spiked a little bit and came back down. And 2021 was 3 years after we had implemented the STEP program. And so I think why we had it trending upwards that year a little bit more was because people took that average highest 3 years of their salary after the STEP program rolled out. and then we're trending lower. I think just because the economy's turning a little bit. But this year, currently, we're at 7%. So I think so 40% of that is due to retirements. So that's been the bulk of turnover this year. I don't think you're gonna see the other 7% continue over the next 6 months. People tend to retire at the beginning of the year. They retire and take their summers off. So we tend to have fewer retirements after July 1st. So I think we'll stay in this 11-12% range this year.
How does that compare to other cities?
So we don't like poll each other that much. There was one recently that run around. And I would say this is on the better side. I think I was seeing some cities at 20%. I think 10% is a healthy turnover. You definitely want some turnover. But I don't have like a current turnover for other cities.
I think we're pretty good. I remember checking just kind of when we called other cities in the last few years, it seemed like we had a good retention.
So then I'll just kind of like touch on the areas of our responsibility if there's any updates on those. So as far as recruiting goes, unemployment's like starting to slowly rise, and job creation is starting to slow. So we're seeing more applications recently. So in that way, it's been better for us. However, we still have a few spots of like technical jobs in power department or they have a generation substation supervisor, and those ones are just kind of vague and having a hard time filling those and getting those applicants in there. And the other trouble we've been having is at entry-level maintenance workers in parks and rec and streets and stormwater and water. Those have just been kind of where the higher turnover has been. We're not really losing employees to other cities, losing them to the private sector or other things, but that's kind of the focus now is just kind of a lot of compensation in those entry-level maintenance jobs. Job classification and compensation, that's a run the compensation study every year regardless of whether we're making market adjustments or not. This year in your budget, you saw police and fire, they've kind of been off cycle just because I think there was that big time when we had the competition, I feel like, between the cities and the public safety wages. And so that's been off cycle, but we do try to do market adjustments for positions that are out of line with other cities. Do those every other year, so you should probably see some of those next year, but still just running it to make sure nothing's just, really out of whack, that we're in line with.
We were having some issues with planning, with plans examiners and
Inspectors.
inspectors, and how's that going? Not good, huh?
No, I think there's been a few, it's just like, it seems to be something that, I think I tried to implement a policy where we could do internal internships and maybe train those from inside our other ranks. It's just that we haven't had the staffing, I think, on that side to be able to train all these people. The inspector department is a really small department, so we just haven't been able to implement it, but that's an idea we have thrown out there. If we have someone with those capabilities, maybe in public works or parks and rec, that we can take and train to be in those positions. That's what I would love to see, but it seems the people who apply are just ones that are getting recycled around from different cities. And
So it's not due to lack of compensation?
I haven't seen that, but
I don't think
I don't
so.
think, but
Chicken
No,
said no.
You know, what I've been told with the building inspector, it's a very, very technical position, and they have to pass a lot of certifications in order to get to a point where they're certified and can go out and conduct these multi-point inspections. And the people just don't want to devote that much time to the book learning and the certifications And it just takes time when they can go out in the construction industry and make that kind of money just being a framer or, you know, a construction worker as well. So it's, I really can't explain it. We just don't get many candidates that want to be inspectors. And as far as plans examiner, that's even more technical. That's slotted up there. You're almost an architect and engineer combination of that. And so that's been a difficult one to try and find a person as well.
I was hoping that had changed somehow, but
I'll tell you
still.
what changed was, fire department had, with the ones they're hiring, did I hear 91?
Yeah, I think we had actually a total of 93 applications for the firefighter
For
position.
which position?
Firefighter.
You've approved, and then there's other ones that have quit and that, I mean, 93,
Now,
I heard 91, so I can't
Wow.
believe that's a lot.
Very nice.
yeah, we could almost open a second fire department with that.
Okay, so onboarding, and personnel files, I'll just kind of combine those. So we made a big push in our office to go as paperless as we can. So all the old personnel files continuing to be scanned in, as many of our onboarding new hire process as paperless is what we're moving towards. This sticky point has been part-time new hires, but starting last week, I started working with IT. There seems to be a capability with our Tyler system to be able to send new hire paperwork electronically through that system, and then it will autofill some of our payroll files with the information from those, so it's gonna save a lot of time. Like, this is our crazy busy time. I think last payroll, we entered 25 new hires in the payroll system for all the seasonal work, right? Ramping up lifeguards, recreation officials, golf course maintenance, those kind of things. So we're hoping to get that set up, and think it will save a lot of time in our office with that. Thought I'd touch on some of the benefits. Our employee assistance program, we're showing a 10% utilization in that. The national average is 5%, so it looks like we've gotten the word out and having our employees use it. It's great for getting help and support for our employees, but also saves on the insurance side of things because you're not having the utilization through the insurance, you're filtering it through the employee assistance program. We're still continuing to do the first responder program through the employee assistance program. So for example, the police department on employees' 1-year anniversaries are also going over and doing their annual check-in with the healthcare provider for with the employee assistance program. This also extends to retirees. So after public safety employees retire for 3 years, they can also utilize this service too for themselves and their families.
For 3 years, wow.
Then with insurance this year, continue seeing a great help by having an insurance broker helping negotiate those renewals for us. The initial medical renewal this year came in at 9%. They were able to negotiate down to 5.7% for us. Here in Utah, 7% was the average increase. So seems it's been paying for itself there. This year with the tuition assistance program after July 1st, we'll be increasing the benefit from $2,500 a year to $3,500 a year. We have anywhere between 15 to 25 employees take advantage of this to expand their education every year. In council communications, I'm sure you saw this, but the mayor just signed the Sustainable Transportation Incentive Program. And this is to encourage sustainable commuting choices for employees, putting the emphasis on all electric vehicles in UTA Transit will receive $150 a quarter for utilizing that 80% of the time to commute to work.
That's great.
It's just been an increase in a benefit. It was called alternative transportation before, but just increasing the benefit towards sustainable choices.
Somebody pushed us towards that, so we decided to do it. Diane.
So wait a minute, it's only for UTA and electric vehicles?
So that's for the 150 level, and then if you carpool, bike, walk,
Okay,
then it's $75 a quarter, so.
yeah, that's my question.
Is this for them to charge their cars also?
They can, but this is solely if they drive that vehicle.
Right,
They get $150 a quarter if
okay.
they drive electric.
And then-
Yeah, but they can charge them when they're here, but they
They have to pay for that.
have to pay for that.
So that $150 can go back
Sure.
to pay for that.
Just helping subsidize.
Yes, got it.
That's great.
Let's see, sorry, now I'm like,
Have you advertised that? Do the employees realize that that's?
so I just received it back
Available.
today from having been signed and recorded in the recorder's office, so I was gonna send them an email to all employees tomorrow.
Oh, good, okay.
We
So
have
that they
enough
can-
charging
She said
fees?
she just got back to
Yeah, we only have 2 that have electric vehicles here.
Okay,
We have a lot of hybrid
Yeah, we have a
vehicles.
lot of hybrid.
hybrid, oh, yeah.
Cindy has a hybrid. I says, can I start taking your hybrid? She said, no.
You can take the bike,
Yeah, I can take the bike, is what she did say.
okay.
Okay, so personnel policies and procedures, so this year, police, fire, HR, and the city attorney collaborated together to update the public safety rules and regulations. The purpose was just to modernize the language and reflect some of the practices that have evolved over the years. So that was a pretty big undertaking there. And now we're working on updating the employee handbook, so just making it easier to read, combining all the executive orders, city code, HR policies, just to make it, just doing like a big overhaul on the employee handbook.
Are you doing that or have you contracted with someone to do that?
No, I'm doing it and then with GL too, so. He doesn't have enough work. So, and then we won't go over discipline because, regarding training, so this week we're gonna try out a new program for training supervisors. So so quarterly, there's a training program that will do 4-week training for new supervisors on HR policies, on being a strong leader, those kind of things. And then also plan on rolling it out to people who maybe are interested in becoming supervisors, right? So we can make sure we're, combined with the tuition assistance program that we're cultivating, like an environment so we can progress our employees, right? And have take over those spots when we have the retirements coming out. So
That's good, having a progression plan.
Right. So
It's really important.
so that's what's going on in HR. So I'm happy if you have any questions.
I already asked him on the way.
Okay,
Good, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, our next discussion item is annexation update, Brooke Smith and GL Field presenting, you have 20 minutes.
How are you?
Yes, how you doing,
Great
Brooke?
to be here. I was just trying to update a slide, so we will get to that slide later on, but let me share my screen. Okay, this is just gonna be a brief overview of the annexation process. Now that we are in committee of the whole, we have a little bit more time to talk and really dive into the information that has been collected already and where we're at in the process. I just wanted to go quickly over what a petition is or what an annexation is and why we do it and the purpose. And so the purpose is to integrate city services like police and fire to the area. And then to do a petition, the petitioner has to collect property owners' signatures for the majority of the land. So they are aware that they're being annexed into another area. So this is just a brief overview of our timeline. So the petition from Marv Hendrickson was turned in on October 2nd. It was certified by the county on October 13th. And the letters were mailed within a 300-foot square radius of the petition area or the annexation area. The dates of the signatures that were turned in was on May 14th. And then on May 21st, we heard it in city council. And then the city recorder and the attorney have 30 days to determine if it's gonna be accepted or not. We are near the end of that 30 days, so Marv will be getting a letter from myself and GL in the next day or two, pending on one thing, but we'll go into it. There are lots of steps to petitions and annexations, and so we are on step 3 right now. There's a petition filing, a notice of intent, and then right now we are certifying the signatures for everyone in that area. If it's approved, it will go to a public hearing and then a potential resolution if that is approved. And then we'll go into the boundaries adjustments with the state and make it reportable. There's several steps that go with the petition. The first one is the notice of intent. I wanted to put this out here just to show what has been completed so far by the applicant. And so he has verified that the notice of intent was filed a petition with the city. He did that. The insured included an accurate map. He's done that. This is the map that he included, and confirmed that copies of the notice of intent had been sent to each affected areas. So that is the county. We did receive a letter from Scott Baird certifying that he did indeed send this notification out with the map to those 300 square foot area radius. So everyone in that area is aware. In that 300 foot square radius, there are 516 parcels. So several of those parcels are owned by the same person, but each one of those parcels would have been notified. The second part is the petition preparation, and this goes back to Marv and what he was required to do. And basically he had to file the petition and have sponsors. He did get 4 sponsors that signed. Down here you can see signatures. And then one person was listed but didn't sign. You can have up to 5 sponsors, so the fact that we're missing a signature is okay.
How many are required?
Up to 5 is what the code says. So you can have 1, you can have,
Oh, there's no minimum? So
well,
you could have 1?
you could have 1.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, but there's
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, so he met that requirement. But then he has to go to the landowners and have them sign this petition, which he has done. Right now, how it stands is he has a couple things he has to meet. The first one is verify the petition contains the signatures of the required number of property owners. And then we have to ensure the petition is accompanied by an accurate and recordable map of the area. This has not been turned in yet, and so my letter, as of right now, is gonna be provide us a accurate and recordable map, and then we'll talk, because that hasn't been turned in yet.
Does he do that, or does the county do that?
he does that.
He does that,
So does this cost him money?
yes.
Will,
Several, it is an official, like, plat map, and there are several $1,000s. So,
Do that.
So,
Yeah, it's the same thing as the county.
does he have to have that done by the 20th?
no.
Okay.
I mean, technically, yes. And then if he doesn't, then we deny it, and then he has a time to cure it.
Oh,
But
you
it
don't have to
basically-
start over again.
you do start
You
over,
do.
but you can still use the signature.
You can sue, yeah, you don't have to redo all the work that
The
he's done.
timing though starts all over with, goes clear back or just the council?
Goes to council.
Goes-
Not clear back to the, back October
No.
date.
No. Yeah, so once he provides us an accurate recordable map, we will come back to you to see if you want to move forward with the annexation, and then we will plan a public hearing after that initial thing.
So he's investing his own money to do this.
Yes.
He really wants to be in
He
Marv.
is
He
motivated.
does.
So, we confirm that the petition includes copies sent to the affected areas. We've done that. The signature by law has to have this notice. It did have that notice. And then again, it needs up to 5 signers of the petition. We have 4 verified, 5 potential, but he meets that requirement.
Such an interesting requirement.
I know, right?
It just
Feels
Yeah.
makes no sense.
Yeah. The signatures is where it gets really like in the weeds, I think. But according to Utah code, the owners of the real property that equal a value of at least 1/3 of the value of all private real property within the area of the proposed annexation have to be signed. And so what I've gone through and done is dissect all the signatures. And this is what our map looks right now, like right now. This is thanks to GIS. Talson is a rock star and helped me create this map. But what we have here is everything in green has been verified and valid. Everything in yellow needs more information. The two in red have refused to sign, and they've stated that in that petition.
Are the ones in red, are those homes or businesses?
Homes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll go zoom into the businesses here in a minute.
Oh,
The businesses are right here.
Oh,
And then
okay.
everything in blue, they just haven't declared one way or the other if they're gonna sign or not. But this is what the businesses look like. The greens have all signed, blues haven't. So what that looks like on a spreadsheet or in like data format is basically I split up the homeowner's information into a couple different sections. The people here in the red circles, on the county website, like Kyle Miller is the owner and Kyle Miller signed the document. So to be valid, to the map be valid, they have to match, and they have. So all of the single owners of the land are valid. We then get into joint tenancies.
You have a question?
Oh, just the
Okay.
name,
Joint
it
tenancies.
just kind of,
Oh,
never mind.
no, you're good.
No, it's just the name, I was looking at the
Okay,
mayor for a
direction.
minute because it looked familiar to me.
Okay.
the
Just
name.
curious about process. Are you like individually matching this up or is this automated?
I'm individually matching it up. But at the same time, I am not matching signatures. I tried to reach out to the county elections office to see if they'd give me signatures for these profiles. They would not. So I'm
Oh.
only looking at name matches name.
Can you imagine if it was all of 9 feet like they did back in the day?
Yeah.
I'm glad this is a smaller one, but to get my feet wet on annexation, because I can't imagine doing like 500 of these. There's a joint tenancy owner, so basically it means there's two joint tenants shown on the list. In that situation, either or both may sign. So here we have a William Roberts and a Sandra Roberts listed as a joint tenancy. William signed it and there was no additional information. So because one of these owners signed, it's considered a valid signature.
Oh,
So there is also a tenant in common, which basically means there's two tenants, and in that situation, both have to sign. There is one that is a tenant in common, and I only had one signature, so I do need Jennifer Bagley's signature to make this
that's a big piece
Parcel.
of property.
green. Yeah, so this is something that he can cure if he wants to, but I'll put that in my response letter to him if he wants to fix that. There's also limited liability companies, so up here we have our LLCs, and from the list, most of them are valid. There is one that is still pending, and I'll explain that in this next thing, but basically for these properties right here, we had an Alyssa Dolgen, I don't know if I said her name right. She signed the petition. She also signed the certificate of authority. But when I go onto the state website and the county website, Timothy Dance is the registered agent. And then when I go into the principal owners, Timothy Dance and Tyler Godfrey are listed, and I can't connect her to this land. So that is gonna need to be cured as well. And that will go into the letter. There's also trust. I've verified most of these trusts. Well, I'll take that back. I've verified all of these trusts on the county website. However, with the trust, they are required to have a certificate of authority, and 4 of them are missing. So I don't have those documents.
And trust is when the owner of the property, they put it in a family trust, correct?
Yeah.
Because they own that piece of property now,
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
Okay, that's
So-
what I thought it was. That was one of my questions.
There is one outlier where in this parcel right here, Jeffrey Davis signed, for a parcel, this parcel number. I think there was just a typo, to be quite honest, and he signed the wrong parcel. So I would want him to re-sign the correct parcel, and then this is considered a joint tenancy, so only Jeff would have to sign, not both of them on that. So there are just some little things that he needs to clean up for signatures, but regardless of what happens, or if those are cleaned up or not, the code requires that at least 1/3 of all property, the value of all private real property, sign that document. So what does that mean? That means if you add up all of the parcels that have been signed, the reds, the greens, the blues, and the yellows, the total is $12.5 million. Of that 1/3 is the $4.1 million. And of that, in the green section already, he's already surpassed that 1/3 threshold. So whether or not he cleans up the yellows, the little things that need to be cleaned up, he's already met the requirement to notify real property owners and get those signatures. Yeah.
You have a question written all over your face.
Well, you're thinking what I'm thinking, cause I asked you earlier, I said, what would make Marv even, if he's already at that,
Yeah, he's not doing.
he's not gonna do anything, I mean, you would think.
Yeah.
What do you mean he's not gonna do
To-
it?
He's already above the
Yeah, he's
1/3.
already
Oh.
done.
He only needs four.
But he does have to go back and clean everything up that you've.
No,
No,
He doesn't even have to
No.
clean up any of the verification,
Those are
because he met
technicalities.
that.
Yeah, we're already met,
Yeah.
so she's just asking
He's
him.
met the minimum, but if he wants to clean it up, he can, but he's met the minimum for the state code. So,
And you've gotta do the map.
yeah,
The map.
yeah,
That's
the
the
map is
biggest
the
thing.
only thing pending.
That's-
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So this is all of the websites that I went to help verify the information. I used the commercial business, or the state business search, the county records, the city GIS. I worked with Scott Baird, certification boundaries in the assessor's office. And then I did, like I said, I reached out to the county election office and said, send me your signatures. And like, we won't do that. So I'm like, all right, that's fine.
Hey, you had to ask.
I asked, that's right. So what does that mean for you guys?
Ballots.
Next step, if the petition is considered valid, which right now it is not, I would mail you and contact the sponsor and the state legislative body and tell them we're moving forward with a public hearing. If it's rejected, I'm gonna send him a letter asking to correct the deficiencies and give him time to clean that up. Basically, the only thing pending right now is that recordable map. Once that's turned in, we will come back to you. We'll do the initial thing, just saying, hey, we've got the recordable map. And then we will go into a public hearing.
You have to wait 30 more days.
So state law says that if it's rejected and they modify, they clean it up, then it's as though it's a new petition.
So it's 30 days.
So it's more than that.
It's more than
Take a little
that.
bit of time, yeah.
Wow. So if he misses this in the next 2 days, really tomorrow.
The good part is he doesn't have to go back out and get more signatures.
Right.
Yeah.
He just has to wait the time
Yeah.
if he's gonna get the map.
Yep.
Yeah. That's it.
And then we've already done all our due diligence. So
Right.
we don't have to, I don't think we have to wait. Oh, wait, we have to wait for the,
You wait, but you
Public
don't have to do
hearing.
anything else.
Yeah.
Or you're waiting.
Yeah.
So it could be 2 months almost.
so, notice of certification. After it's certified, we will send notice within a half mile of all the annexation area. It's considered a class B notice. And, we will notify the legislative body. Another thing we'll do is the 30-day period, once the public hearing is posted, we have 30 days, or the public has 30 days to protest the change. That is by writing or coming to a public hearing and doing a comment. But that is the next step for the public. And then the rest is just pictures of the land that is in question. And really, I've got nothing else to report for you. But that's where we're at right now.
Does he know about the 2027
Yes,
and he wants to do it before then?
yes.
He doesn't wanna wait.
Correct.
The,
I don't know what he's thinking, but if he,
You wouldn't have to pay for the map.
well, if he didn't, yeah, he wouldn't have to do that, but You know we've met with Mill Creek to talk about
Right.
this, but had we not met with them, and he started this before we met with them, I believe, he would end up in Mill Creek,
He would
Yeah.
default to
He
Mill Creek.
wants to be in Murray.
yeah,
Okay,
in 2027.
and can I ask about the
Yeah.
other little subdivision?
Yes.
About it?
Yeah, they don't wanna be.
They don't want to,
Mhm.
but if this proceeds and 2027
Don't
happens,
go to Mill Creek.
It
that little area that I'm talking about, the other subdivision, that will go to Mill Creek. We won't have the option to take them in.
unless we do it in our
Yes, we do.
local with Mill Creek. And that would be a decision between the cities.
So,
It's 2025, Pam, and we do have
oh,
the
I'm
option.
sorry, is it 2025? I thought it was
And we do have
2027.
the option to bring them into with
Right,
our
okay.
local agreement.
But you'd have to, right now, they have chosen not to. The owner-
Right,
the owner.
and I know that the other subdivision doesn't want to, and Marv wants to. I just think that's so weird, that we take one and we don't
Take the other.
take the other.
He tried.
Yeah.
He tried to get that.
And it's because of the people that own that subdivision area. That doesn't, okay,
In that situation, he did not need the signatures of all the owner, like the tenants of the
Right.
property. He needed the HOA or, I forget what type of land it was, but.
in Marv's area. Because,
No, in the
in the other
in the other
subdivision.
subdivision.
We don't really, I don't even think we know why, they just have chosen.
Yeah.
They didn't
Don't know.
want, the owners said, no, we're not interested.
yeah, and that's, I understood that,
It's
but
just weird though.
it's really interesting that Marv's not waiting until 2025 to do this, that,
I think he fears that he'd be, if he doesn't do this, then he'll be defaulted into Mill Creek because of how the code writes,
Unless we intervene.
unless we, yeah.
well, see, that's what
But
I had
that's-
the impression.
That's relying upon us
Well,
and Mill Creek to agree,
The
and that can go
application in
anywhere.
front of you is gonna be to come into Murray now,
Okay,
so.
So that is where we stand. I will be sending a letter out to Marvin. I will CC you, I think the code requires that, and the legislation, state legislation. Just showing you what needs to be cured, and then once we get that map, I will come back to you to request it again, and then we will go forward with that public hearing.
okay. Do we have
Any questions about the
Questions?
annexation process?
for Brooke, GL?
Oh, that was good, thank
Okay,
you.
you're
That
welcome.
was really helpful.
Yeah, it was fun to
Yeah.
work with the map, and a big, huge thanks to GIS for helping us.
Well, it's interesting that he's
Yeah.
putting all this money into this, I mean, his own money
Yeah.
to do this, to be in Murray.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a, well, okay, but I'm just saying, he's not waiting until 20, because he doesn't
I'm
want
surprised
to.
Mill Creek City isn't trying to kill part of us.
Alrighty, let's go on to the next. Discussion on an ordinance amending the general plan to adopt the Murray North Station area plan. Zachary Smallwood is presenting. You have 45 minutes.
Well, I would say that I would love to present, but actually I'm going to turn it
You're not the
over
pro
to
to it.
Christine
Oh.
Richmond.
Oh.
She is our, she's part of the team of the consultants that we work with.
Oh.
Did you want this or did you want to do it on yours?
I made a couple of edits.
Okay, that's fine.
Editing right up to the
Yeah.
last.
So it should just, that should just be.
Now, do we-
Right, HDMI, yeah.
Can you introduce
Yeah.
Christine to us and where she is located?
Yeah, so
Where she-
Christine Richmond is the one of the principals for GSBS Architects.
Oh, okay,
She was the lead on the station area plan.
oh, the one
um,
that we had, no,
Yes,
The
joint,
meeting
the two
with
joint
Mill
councils. Yep,
got it,
Yeah.
now I remember where I saw you.
yep,
Okay,
yeah,
just had to
so,
Like, why is this face
I
familiar?
had to,
yep.
okay,
So after we had that
Merge.
presentation and everything, or, that workshop and various other things,
okay,
we're now to the point that we're ready for adoption. Or at least, working with you guys to get it adopted. I think, Mill Creek did
adopted
adopt
it 2 weeks ago.
So,
yes, that's
we're
where
here.
you, yeah, it's
What's
in
the
the
deadline
notes,
on adoption?
yes.
What does the state code require us to have this adopted by?
2025.
Yeah, end of 2025, I think.
So what the state
But I
code
have 3
requires,
of them to do.
what the state code requires is that you have it adopted, certified by Wasatch Front Regional Council, and that you begin the process of implementation by 2025. So because this station area is in 2 jurisdictions, we're taking it to both jurisdictions, and then once you adopt, if you make changes, we'll take it back to Mill Creek for them to accept those changes. If not, it'll be forwarded to Wasatch Front Regional Council for certification. I know that Zach has already started moving forward on some of the implementation steps, so I'm not worried about you meeting that threshold as well, so.
And why are we having to do this?
Oh,
Oh,
do you want me, I actually have a slide for that.
Thank you. Because I'm going, why?
What is this about?
Yeah, well,
So.
it's been how many months ago since we
Yeah,
met? as
and
a
I wanna
group, so-
thank you, we if you recall, when we had the joint meeting with you and the Mill Creek City Council members, we were focusing on the research that we had done and the initial public engagement, what we'd heard, and we were working through what the opportunities and what the challenges were and the best responses to those, as well as, thinking through how we wanted to meet those goals in the long term. And so since that time, after we got your feedback and we got some additional public engagement, public feedback, talked to some stakeholders, what you have in front of you is what we believe is the best path forward to meet those goals, achieve that vision, and take advantage of the opportunities there, as well as address some of the challenges, because as we all know, there are significant challenges in this area. So tonight, we're gonna do, or this afternoon, we're going to go over I'm gonna give you an overview of where the plan has ended up, along with the vision and policy recommendations. And we've already started talking a little bit about the next steps in certification process. So is there anything else you wanted to add before I start? So why are we doing this? That question you just asked. So the legislature adopted in their 2023,
Oh, gee, no, I think it was,
2022.
I think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Might have
They
to,
change it, they change it.
22 right
They
there.
They
change
do
it so
amend it every
often
year, but,
and
you know,
so many times.
But the requirement that each jurisdiction that has an existing or planned light rail, bus rapid transit, or regional transit front runner station is required to have a station area plan that identifies opportunities and constraints, which your joint meeting, we went over what those were. Identifies opportunities for affordable housing in the station area, identifies and describes the vision that for the station area, and then provides strategic recommendations that both UTA and your jurisdiction will pursue in order to achieve that plan. So that's what this plan does, and that's what you have before you today.
Okay.
So the station area by statute, what we have to plan for is the half-mile radius around the platform. So that's what this map is. You can see that this particular, the North Murray station area includes Mill Creek to the north. It also has a number of what we as planners consider barriers. I-15, that's tough to, just to back up a little bit, when we think about stations, we want to think about how easily people can get to the station. So when we see things like I-15 and even State Street and 4500 South and the rail line, particularly the Union Pacific rail line, those are significant challenges to getting people to that station area. So one of the things we want to think about is, are those things we can overcome? And if so, how would we do that? We also, when we look at this map, we know that this is an area that has traditionally had a lot of industrial uses. It's transitioning in a lot of parts of the planning area. So how can we help that transition happen in a way that's supportive of transit? It's one of the questions we want to think about. And are there areas that are more challenging in terms of making that transition than others? So those are some of the things that we've been thinking about. So when we did the current conditions analysis, there were several key takeaways, and this is just an overview of what we talked about before. On housing, you know, the station area has a lot of housing. This is where both Murray and Mill Creek have added a lot of higher density housing, particularly affordable and moderate income housing, and there's more planned in the area. So this is an area that has been a receiving location for a lot of housing. There are spaces available for retail and commercial, but they have remained vacant. So one of the things we dug in on as part of the planning process was to gain an understanding of what we might be able to do to help those retail and commercial spaces fill up. We also, as I said, we have some issues relating to connectivity. We also have some issues related to parking, which I'm sure you've all heard about. And so we did some additional analysis relating to the supply and demand for parking in the area. We also heard, and I'm sure you're all very well aware of this, is that there's a lot of crime in this particular area. And I know that there was just recently another murder. So.
It was?
Oh, well.
It was like 2 weeks.
2 weeks ago. She's like.
She was like, wait, another one?
Another one? Yeah,
No,
2 weeks
sorry,
ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so what are there some things that we can do through the planning process to help set the station area up for, to be a safer place? Planning and development can't resolve all of those issues, but we can also make sure we're not making it worse. Because in a lot of cases, when we have high crime areas, there are usually some design reasons that feed into that. So the plan looks at that and has some recommendations related to that as well. And then environment, this bullet point talks about the area being underserved for parks and trees, and there's also some environmental contamination right around. Not like some of your other areas, but
We'll take that.
But it's Murray,
but it's, you know, my background, I worked for Midvale for a long time, so, you know, I might get a little flip about environmental contamination, but we do have some strategies and ideas for how to deal with that. And that contamination is primarily on UTA and Salt Lake County property, so we have talked to them about those.
Oh, that is on their property.
On their property, yeah.
Because when you say that you want affordable housing, but then you wanna do, you
Sorry.
wanna do parks and trees.
Yep.
Is there areas for parks and trees,
We-
or is it,
Definitely.
There are
or is
definitely
it
some.
mainly going to be affordable housing, which is like $700,000-800,000 affordable housing?
Well, so it's a mix of things. Affordable housing can mean a bunch of different things. And I think mostly the plan is calling for, so this has been an area that has, like Christine had mentioned, has received a lot of low income housing already.
Right.
So what I think our goal is to start facilitating a mix of
Okay.
income. So it's gonna be weird to take this to WFRC and say that we need
They already
luxury
know though.
housing. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. And let them know that we actually need luxury housing and higher income housing in this area, not as much low income.
So what we'll get to that on one of my bullets, but what we're saying is not to stop putting moderate income housing in the area, but to make sure you're getting a greater diversity of housing in the area. That was one of the solutions, one of the critical elements to address the lack of commercial and retail in the area. Was we needed to get overall catchment area expendable income up, and the best way to do that is by adding somewhat higher income households back into the area. So that's where that has a two-pronged purpose, which is to help with the retail space,
Yeah.
leasing up the retail space, help with adding additional housing types into the neighborhood to make it more, more diverse and more vibrant. And also it could help with some of the safety issues to have additional eyes on the street, particularly if some of that market rate housing can be for purchase, then you get some additional ownership, not just actual sign on the line ownership, but emotional ownership of the neighborhood. And we heard a lot of that in our community engagement process. The neighbors that came out and you probably already heard this, we had some open houses, we went out on the trails and accosted people. We went to the station platform one morning and handed out donuts and we just, and we also had an extensive online presence and got a lot of comments that way as well. And we heard that people would like additional access to goods and services. A big issue with that is that there isn't an easily accessible location for just basics like milk and bread and diapers and
Butter.
and butter and that stuff you don't sometimes if you have to get in your car to drive to get those things, we're kind of not taking full advantage of being in a station area. If everything you need you have to drive for. So we heard that they'd like additional access to goods and services, and they would like their neighborhood to be seen in a positive light. And so one of the recommendations of the plan is to rebrand it or reignite the Fire Clay branding name, which was already in place.
Can you change the name, Fire Clay?
There's
Or-
nothing wrong, there's nothing stopping us.
You can,
So with Mill Creek, we could do that with Mill Creek, or can we just do it on our own?
I mean, in theory, we should be working with Mill Creek because they are kind of close, that they have a vested interest in this area as well.
they talked about, so they heard that too, and they saw the recommendation that the whole area, including the Mill Creek portion, be branded Fire Clay. And we talked about that. And they were, in the end, they were okay about it. They thought that was great.
What,
To brand the whole area, including the Mill Creek portion.
to a different name?
No,
To
to
keep
keep it
as
all
a-
Fire Clay
keep it
and
all
just
Fire.
just keep it.
So, but the idea is that it will be recognizable, and when people say, well, I'm going to the front climbing gym, or I'm going to whatever in the Fire Clay neighborhood, they immediately associate it in a positive way with Fire Clay. So whether it's Fire Clay or you working with Mill Creek, choose a different name, it should be branded in a way that people understand where they are.
And how do you do that?
Hire a marketing person.
And it should,
Rebranding is
Yeah.
remarketing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get that.
And that's how you do that. You change some of the, you change, the plan lays out a bunch of implementation steps on how to better improve the safety of the area, how to get things a little bit better.
Does it deal with rebranding and I
It's
To a degree.
what it recommends is to use the Fire Clay brand and to use the Fire Clay brand for your street furniture and for all of your signage. I mean, part of what's going on here, one of the challenges is it's not visible. The station itself, this station area is not visible. If you're driving down State Street, you have to know that you're going there, because that little sign, that little green sign with an arrow by, the thrift store is not adequate. So part of what we're recommending is that as redevelopment and things happen along State Street or along 4500 South, to get a monument signage package in place so that people can see. There's a big sign that says, Fire Clay or whatever you choose, they know that, oh, we're in the Fire Clay area, there's a station right there, and this is a station area. So that's part of that branding. If you wanna change the brand, I don't know what it would be. I mean, Fire Clay is something that has been around, which is why we used that. But if you wanna change the name, you would do those same things, you would just do them with a new name after you've chosen
I
it.
just think with older citizens like myself, when you hear Fire Clay, you have this vision. But if you change the name, then you would change that vision.
And I think
That
there's
area.
there's a balance there.
But New York in the 90s had a crime attitude. They didn't really change the name, and now you don't have that attitude as much. So I was there last year. So
Hell's
when you
Kitchen
write
is a cool place to be now.
wayfinding signage, then are you saying signs to locate where Fire Clay is, or are you saying signs to help navigate
Both.
within? You're
I'm
saying
saying
both. Okay. Got it.
But they should be consistent.
Okay.
And they should be consistent within that whole
Mhm.
station area. So in a minute, I'm gonna get to a map that kind of lays out the phasing, because we wouldn't want you to do that in the whole half-mile radius. Right, because
Could be work.
part of that it's not really transit supportive yet. It's only as those areas get folded into a transit supportive development form that you would want to extend the branding to those. So you would start with the core area. And then improving overall connectivity, particularly bike and pedestrian oriented modes to help people get there. Increasing visibility and safety, that's one thing we also heard, and people asked for more shade. There are trails there, it's particularly one stretch that goes right along the rail line going north that has no shade. If you've ever walked that in the afternoon, which I have, it's a little intense. And then to add more community gathering spaces for people. So the vision that for this project area, for this station area, is that the Murray North Station area is an accessible, vibrant, complete community that provides residents and visitors with an interesting, engaging mix of land uses to serve their needs. This is a vision that focuses on the idea that this is one of the first station areas after the original blue line for tracks was opened that saw development. There was housing added there and it was very exciting, but a lot of the other stuff that really turns it into a complete community, the public spaces, the retail spaces, the spaces for kids to get together and hang out, it just didn't come along with that. And so this plan focuses on adding all of that in to help bolster that as a community as opposed to just a location for apartment buildings. So these are the character areas. This is also reflective of how we believe phasing will occur. So just to give you an overview of the meaning of the different colors on this map, the yellow area is the core area, and that would be phase one. That's where you've already seen a lot of transit-related investment. There's more to be done within that area. It's not done yet in terms of meeting the vision of creating a complete community. We believe that the area in red would be the area in red would be the next phase, particularly if access across State Street can be improved and made safer. And there are recommendations in the plan related to additional crossings, pedestrian activated crossings, and other ways to improve access across State Street. We've also already discussed relocating and adding additional UTA bus stops along State Street to help enhance the bus and transit service there. They're moving forward on that already. So and at least one or two pedestrian activated crossings there would help get people across there and would allow that area in the red to be the next phase of your station area plan implementation. We did hear from people who live on the east side of State Street, who use the bus primarily because it's easier for them to access, and that's the 209 bus that goes up and down State Street. The purple, the lavender area would be another phase, probably about the same time as the red area. The plan includes recommendations for improving trail connections and pedestrian connections across 4500 South in order to tie into the neighborhoods that are south of 4500 South, and also to create trail linkages that can link into the trails and the improvements that you're doing here in this neighborhood where we're located right now, and eventually finding, trail connections that can get you all the way to Murray Park. Because I know getting across State Street to get people across to Murray Park is something that we've talked about. We've talked about for a while. So
has a bridge been in that discussion?
yes, a bridge across 4500 South.
Right.
Right.
What
Yes.
about state?
That has come up, but that we talked about it for this station area, but felt like the discussions that had been had earlier related to the central station, not the current plan that's going on, but the prior plan, having a bridge across close to the park so that you can get to the park that way, is where we thought the bridge should be, because bridges are expensive, you don't want to put a whole bunch of them. So we thought, and this plan continues to contemplate that bridge across State Street would be near the park.
Okay.
Is that a true statement?
Yes.
I'm like, that's what I thought we decided.
Yeah.
And then that green area, that is then area that is west of the Union Pacific heavy rail line. As we all know, getting across that rail line is problematic. And so the plan does recommend underpasses under that, but that's gonna be a very long-term play. Working with UP is not easy, but once we put those crossings in the plan, you can pursue federal grants that through the Reconnecting Communities program that will help, then you get federal transportation department working with you to have the discussions with Union Pacific as part of that strategy.
And who does those grants?
That would be
That would be
us. Yeah.
Murray City. Probably in conjunction with UTA would make it more effective. And with Mill Creek, all of you together.
Mhm.
But that's a much longer play. There is some development pressure occurring in that area already.
By who?
All sorts of people.
All sorts of people are looking at
It's just the people that own the business, the fabrication, what is it? Insulation or what was it? Foam?
There's the phone, are you talking about the foam factory?
we'll talk
That's
about the
different.
foam factory in just a
That's
second.
different. We're on the west side of that.
In the green area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's some
Right.
people that are asking about those properties. Currently, it's mostly used as a tow yard. Pretty much probably a good half on that. It doesn't matter. There's a big tow yard over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they've been approached by people who want to do housing there.
Okay.
And
It's kind of
so,
like a junkyard, right?
yeah, that's right.
That store junkyards and gotcha.
And so the plan talks about the importance of, resolving some of these connectivity issues so that it can be developed in a way that it's transit supportive. Otherwise, there's really no way to get to this station in an effective way. So, the importance of finding ways across that rail line will increase the more development pressure that comes in that area. Any questions about that? I do wanna point out that these gray areas that you
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that.
see on the
Gray.
map, those are areas that the plan indicates are not conducive for transit supportive development because of the barriers. So they're gray. We are required by the statute to address all areas of the circle. So we talk about why those are not included in the recommendations for transit supportive future land use and things like that. For the part that's west of I-15, it's because it's west of I-15 and it's really hard to get there from there. For the part that is east of State Street, for the residential area, those cul-de-sacs make it difficult. The walking distance is much further than it looks, with the circle drawn. And then the corner, the southeast corner of that intersection, is that we feel it will remain in its current use for the duration of this planning period, which is 20 years. So that will, we're anticipating that will remain the same. Now, there's, we anticipate that the other corner, the southwest corner, will remain the same as well. But we felt like addressing that as a potential if they ever choose to transition. Those are the auto dealerships, so I don't anticipate they're going anywhere, but just in case they do. They're in a location that they could redevelop to be supportive of transit, but there's nothing in there that requires them to do that. Okay? So this is zoomed in on that first phase area, the yellow area. You can see that a lot of it is already developed in a transit supportive way. The gray buildings are existing buildings and the yellow buildings are proposed future buildings as part of this phase. So I'm gonna start in Mill Creek, even though that's Mill Creek. Because they have, this map reflects some proposed or under development housing developments that are happening there. So they have approved buildings to including some townhome development that dedicated a park and trail and bridge, which I'm sure you're all aware of, across Big Cottonwood Creek. And then they've also approved a development proposal that's west of the tracks line and east of the Union Pacific line. Okay, that has housing and a little bit of retail, but not a lot. This map also reflects the new housing that's going on Main Street. It's pretty far.
Yeah, Evergreen.
Yeah, Evergreen. So this has Evergreen. But what I really want to talk about are the yellow buildings. So I'm gonna get up, is that okay? Cause I don't.
Sure,
I
go
don't
ahead.
have a
Yes.
pointer, my pointer doesn't show on there.
Right ahead.
Oh,
And then the laser pointer.
oh,
And there you go. Now it shows up.
thank you, Zach.
If I can find a way not to get up, I'll do
Thank you.
that.
Ellen. All right, so this area here, that is currently the UTA Park and Ride parking lot that serves the station area. So, one of the things we want to do, one of the goals in order to fulfill the vision of the station area plan was to create more activity closer to the station platform. Rather than having all the new people who are living down here always every day having to walk across that big parking lot to get to the station platform. So this is a new building that is residential above. It has structured parking. It also has ground level retail. This is a proposed 1 acre, roughly, it's a little smaller than that, plaza that would incorporate green space and allow the neighborhood to gather. We're proposing that be developed and that it be programmed so you could have restaurants next to it and have people eat there. have little concerts and different activities. This, we're also recommending that there be a community use as an anchor in the area, something, and we give a list of possibilities. We don't know what it could be, but it could be, should be something that will serve youth in the area. One of the things we heard is that there are a lot of kids, a lot of youth who live in this neighborhood, and they really don't have anything to do. They have to go outside of the neighborhood, crossing State Street, crossing 45th South to get to activities for them. So finding a way to keep them occupied can also help with juvenile activities. I don't want to say crime, because sometimes they're not really crime, they're just bad behavior.
And sometimes they are.
And sometimes
fine.
they are crime. And so this would be housing with ground level retail activation along this edge to the north, also structured parking. This area right now, from here to here, is also owned by UTA. It is their mobility center. It's where they bring people in who are new to their mobility, their paratransit service, and they bring them up to speed on how to use paratransit. It's also a storage and maintenance yard. This is also where there's a berm with environmental contamination that will need to be addressed, and the plan identifies strategies for and planning level cost estimates for addressing that. And we've discussed that with UTA. This is the county-owned property that used to be their public works and fleets. And it also has some contamination issues, and so the plan addresses that. The county has been in discussions for several years about that, redeveloping that into affordable housing, which we think continues to be a good idea, except we recommend that the ground level of that affordable housing be retail, particularly a neighborhood small format, not a big Harmon's or Smith's but a small format grocery store to help serve the neighborhood. The reason we recommend it being on that corner is so that it can also capture market share from other parts of the neighborhood. That will help it to be more viable to be on that corner.
I have a
as well.
question.
Sure.
Because back in the beginning of the pages, it says that we were, anyways, we're asked to do this by the legislators, correct?
Correct.
Is the county going to be forced to take care of that piece of property?
No, not necessarily. If they end up selling it, they wouldn't have to. Or do you mean currently?
Well, if we're asked to do this and they want us to do all these projects and they want us to implement all this and bridges and underground bridges and all these things,
So
are they going to be asked to take care of some of the properties
Yes.
that they own?
yeah, they are required to do things too, and they're part of this process as well.
Okay,
And so
so as
yeah,
long
they
as
were
they're a
part
part
of-
of the
yeah,
process,
they're part
that's
of the
great.
process.
Because it sounds like Mill Creek, Mary, and then you get Salt Lake County and it's like,
Yeah,
The only reason
And?
why they're really kind of part of it is because they're actually property owners. But they wouldn't necessarily be involved in the planning process.
no, I'm not saying
Yeah.
part of the planning process. Are they going to be kind of like moved?
We're working with them actively. Since we've known about this for a while.
Yeah.
Alvon's been working with the county, so that we can kind of all get back on the same page.
Yeah.
Especially now that most of this is complete. So this will help navigate the entire city into, and stakeholders to kind of say, this is the city's vision. And so if it's working towards something, it gives the county a better idea of what we're looking for, and then they can start to prioritize who they speak with.
Okay.
when they want to sell the property.
Sell, clean, whatever they wanna do with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, they will probably identify a private partner as part of the process.
Because they haven't done anything with
Well,
it
part
since
of what's been
85.
holding them up is that they have contamination on the property and they've been trying to figure out how to pay for the cleanup. I know you guys,
Bouillon Street did it.
I know.
These people can do it.
I
I'm
think there's-
sorry,
I think
we've
there's-
done
I
it
agree.
on Bouillon.
So I think there's some dispute on who owns the contamination. That's why it's so, yeah.
So we're saying us, Mill Creek, or
No,
them?
no,
No,
not.
you guys are not
no,
in that
We are
mix.
not, we're not in that mix.
Oh,
But that's Salt Lake County's problem.
that's Salt Lake County's problem.
Yeah, it's not our problem. But who owns the contamination is something that has prohibited movement on this parcel.
Cause wasn't it the sheriff's department in there?
We'll see, there you go. Then there's a new
I just
party.
remember the sheriff's
Yeah.
department. Anytime I went over there, it was the sheriff's department.
So
Okay,
that could be,
I am not wrong.
that could be
Remember.
part of it. But again,
I know.
we're not involved.
Okay,
It's just that that's what has held it up.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the development plan, the site plan that they had a few years ago, although the land use and the sort of bones of it are consistent with what we're putting on this plan, it wasn't entirely consistent with our goal of having a little bit of extra parking and of having that grocery use on the ground floor. And you might actually think of that as not really a traditional grocery, but more like a public market where local producers could come in. It could be a year-round public market where growers could come in, where you have,
oh, kinda like a farmer's market.
yeah, except I wouldn't want it to get all fancy like some of the ones you see when you travel. You'd want
Yeah.
it to be, neighborhood serving.
Really serving this neighborhood for sure.
Is
Okay.
there a timeline that they have to adhere to?
So
That's what I would-
part
that's good.
of our goals, so the state has mandated that we list out goals for the next 1 to 5 years. But then we also have sections of 5 to 10 and then and then 10 beyond.
And so the county is only required to do the beyond?
They're not required to do anything. This is just our hopes and dreams,
Recommendations?
our plans.
Right.
And so when we
So
work,
why should they?
well, they may not, and they may decide not to. But that's why it's so important for people like me and Phil and Elvon to be communicating with the county at all the time, to let them know what our hopes are and what the real problems are in this area.
Why it's in their best interest,
And it's, in
however.
their best interest, and they're, it's the county, so they're in the same role as you guys as elected officials. They have a public, service oriented workforce and goals as we do as the city. We're trying to serve the public. We're not trying to just make money.
Will they see this?
Oh,
Salt Lake
Oh,
County?
they've seen
They've seen it.
Oh, they've seen it?
Yeah, they've
Oh,
seen it
okay.
multiple times already.
Oh, okay.
And are they willing partners in this or?
The staff level, now we met with the staff level and they are. The staff is actually wanted to get something going here even before this plan started. Like I said, they had identified a private nonprofit developer to come in and do housing there several years ago, but it got hung up on this issue of who's responsible for cleaning up the contamination. That I think that agreement has expired, but they are still interested in seeing something happen there.
And then, cause the other backbone of this, the county's a major part, but UTA is a major
UTA is a
part.
major part too.
Are they willing partners in
Yes.
this?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes, they are very much.
Yes, they are.
You would have seen this in April if UTA hadn't been involved.
So we they have been very deeply involved in the planning process, and they are on all of the station area plans. But they would have been much more deeply involved in this one because they own so much property. So they have kind of a dual role here, which is that they're the transit provider, but they're also a stakeholder in the sense that they own property. in the same way that the county owns property, in the same way that the foam factory property owner owns property, that has opportunity related to it. So we've been talking to UTA both as the transit agency and as a property owner and thinking through how that would happen. And the original version of this has been reworked in response to UTA's comments and input. So they are on board.
Yeah, they are very much.
They're very much on board.
So this idea of a
That's
plaza there,
Yes.
Yeah.
So the plaza is envisioned to be so the way that UTA works is, they don't come in and just do it themselves. They're not developers, they're a transit agency. They identify private partners to do public-private partnerships with. And so the development of the plaza will be part of that public-private partnership. And I would imagine that Murray will have a role in helping to make that happen as well, because it's a goal for you as well to get some of this open space and community.
It's a dual
space.
role with Murray, because one, as the city, it's, city within our boundaries, but it's also in an RDA area. Which also creates a different mindset and a different goal set in the RDA area.
And a different set of opportunities.
And a lot more opportunities in the RDA.
Because it being in an RDA area.
Yes.
And will Mill Creek be part of that, or?
They have
Has
their own.
They
RDA.
have their own.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
could we join forces?
Well,
No?
Sort of.
The RDA statute limits a jurisdiction's ability to spend their RDA money outside of their own project boundaries. They can do it for certain types of infrastructure, but if you wanted them to contribute to the plaza, that's probably not.
Right, but I mean, overall, if you guys wanted to talk and discuss things and further
that's
goals,
that's what I was
further
saying,
goals
yes.
on Mill Creek side, and
Yes.
align those goals with Murray's side,
Yes,
that's
what
what
I
this
was-
starts to get into.
That's
Yeah.
what was, yes.
And with them adopting it, that further goes to show that they're committed to working with Murray. Because largely, you can see, really, the barrier is pretty much that blue line on the bigger map, except for a little square.
Oh,
But, because it's everywhere Big Cottonwood Creek is. Anything north of that is Mill Creek, but the vast majority is in Murray. So, anyway. And I know she has like 21 more slides in 8 minutes, so.
I can give you 14 minutes.
Okay, 14.
Okay, so, but to be
I'm
honest, a
fine.
lot of the stuff we're talking about is on those slides.
Yeah, that's
So
perfect.
I just didn't want to be like flip. But I do want to talk about this area. This is the foam factory location. And as we know, that will transition sooner or later from what it is. And it is a prime location for new housing to support transit. But what this plan contemplates is that the connectivity will be improved through there, which also improves the visual corridors. We know that this area in particular is very problematic in terms of crime rates. And so what this plan thinks through is how to improve the urban design in this area so we can get more eyes, more public circulation through there, not create as many, we can't address all of the dead ends there, but improve that in accordance with crime prevention through environmental design principles so that we have a better chance of preventing crime rather than just responding to crime. We also were proposing that the RDA participate in that in order to get additional parking built into that development in order to address some of the parking challenges that you're experiencing in that area.
Also, when you talk about a store, a small store, that's where we have a big part of our issues is,
That particular store.
and so, that puts up red flags for me when you say we just want another small store.
Well, what part of the purpose of putting that store out on the 4500 South and Main Street corner is more eyes, more actual traffic into the store,
Foot traffic.
foot traffic in. And so that will help address it as well. Crime doesn't like a lot of outside eyes on it. And so the strategies, the urban design strategies that you see reflected here are consistent with I know your police department uses crime prevention through environmental design. So Ted. Sometimes I get the T's in the wrong spot, but and so as new development comes into the core of this area, using those principles to make sure that the new development is consistent with that, but also to the extent possible to retrofit connections and view corridors into the existing area to try to address some of those issues as well.
Okay,
Okay?
that'd be,
So-
hope it works.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. So this switch from suburban policing to urban policing that it suggests in this area.
Yeah.
Is that requiring an increase of police force in the process?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I know that this area has a large impact on your policing resources. And so working with the police department to discuss, reallocating some of those resources to be proactive on the beat, on their bikes, whatever, bike cops they're a lot of fun. But it is an area that is compact enough that it could be policed in that way effectively. So that, I wouldn't want to speak for your strength of force. I'm sure they're out there going,
Well, he's not here, so you're good.
No, I mean, he was on our technical
No, okay.
committee, so
Yeah.
that's
one of
not,
the
this
big
is not a surprise
Yeah,
to
and that was
me
one of
either.
the things.
Yeah.
This is
you
actually
did.
one of the things that I wanted to bring up too, and she just brought it up and I just thought of it. We had a steering committee made up of the fire department, the police department, engineering, anybody I could grab. I was bringing them into this. The attorney's office were involved with it a couple times. They came to a couple meetings. So I'm making sure everybody in the city knows what we are thinking here as well.
Oh, good, and they're allowed to provide ongoing input.
Yeah, definitely.
And I would think that as you implement each sort of piece of the recommendations, going back, evaluating if it was effective, what could make it more effective. One of the things that you'll see is discussed in there is the parking. We've got a lot of illegal parking, it impacts the fire department. And so we're proposing to add some parking stalls there, and then that hopefully will make the enforcement a little more effective, so that people they can park in the current UTA parking lot, but then they're crossing the tracks to get home if they live on the other side, that doesn't feel safe. So putting more parking on the west side of the tracks, we're hoping can help alleviate some of that.
And then it talked about charging.
Charging for parking.
Right. The impact that has on it.
Yeah, so Mill Creek has adopted an ordinance that prohibits the decoupling of parking from the rent. I've seen studies, because this is a thing that has been a subject of discussion nationally. A lot of the landlords have added a parking fee, so you get your rent and then you have to pay extra.
Yep.
Your parking isn't included, and many of the facilities here do that. Or some of them have different grades of parking, some of them have garages, they're covered, outdoor, uncovered, and so they charge at different rates. what we did when we dug in on that, on the parking question is our transportation sub-consultant, Township and Range, came in and did an audit of all the parking, what their parking policy was, how they charged for it, and what the utilization was. And what they found was that east of the tracks, so all the developments that are east of the tracks, their utilization of the on-site parking was higher, even though they're still decoupled. And, you know, not 100%, but much better. But then they're parked at a higher ratio than some of those west of the tracks. And in those cases, people are parking everywhere they can. They're not, the on-site parking stalls are full, but people have 2 cars instead of 1 car, and it's creating the issue. So I'm being sort of squishy because I don't know if Mill Creek's approach is any more effective than just allowing the parking policies to go into place. Because what I've seen in the market is that if it's decoupled, they make the rent look like it's lower.
Yep.
But in the end, the whole package dollar amount is kind of the same.
Yep.
Okay, so it's still an open question about whether or not prohibiting that changes the game. But there are national studies going on, but right now they're inconclusive.
And we are Utah.
And we are Utah, and right now, if you live in this neighborhood particularly with children, you kind of need a car, because you have to get them to school and you have to get to the grocery store.
And doctors.
And doctors.
And in those apartments, you could have 3 people with 3 cars.
Mhm.
Could.
Because they could be
Yeah.
roommates.
Right.
They
That
could
could
be
be
college.
That
But
could
that
be
could
in
anywhere,
any,
yeah.
any
Exactly.
apartments, yeah.
Exactly.
I just, believe it or not, we live in a residential area.
Yeah.
And now we have a home that has 6 people in it, so there are 6 cars.
Yeah.
And it's in my residential area.
Yep.
You should talk to the mayor about that.
I think I'm gonna put a sign up there, no parking between.
So I know we're running out of time.
Oh.
5 minutes.
Well,
I've got
I'm
my
sorry.
5-minute warning.
This is so good.
I know, and this has been a great discussion. I do want to say that when you many of you have already read the whole thing, but as you're thinking about it, you know that there are 5 sort of areas that the recommendations focus on. One is quality of life elements to ensure that as people continue to live in this neighborhood or move into this neighborhood, a lot of the things that we all like to see in our neighborhoods are also there for them. Open space, trails. I'm gonna go back to the map for just a second. All this green, as redevelopment occurs along Big Cottonwood Creek, both you and Mill Creek have been implementing, dedication of the 50-foot setback from the creek as part of your greenway system. There's already a trail that comes along here. And so this plan contemplates extending that trail. This is why UTA has to clean up that berm so the trail can go over that berm. And then go across a pedestrian bridge adjacent to the tracks to access south of 4500 South, and also a greenway that comes up the edge of 4500 South and then utilizes the lighted crossing at 4500 South to then get across 4500 South with the opportunity to come this way and eventually link into the rest of your trail system that is contemplated here in this neighborhood. So that's how we start to address the underserved parks and trails. We've got parks here already along Big Cottonwood Creek. This is a little green space that is proposed for this remnant corner. and then some additional green spaces, part of that county development to help connect through, so we get a whole sort of loop going here, which is very nice. And this is an existing green space. So that's how, you asked earlier about how we address that underserved underserved for open space and trails. That's through the plaza and then those additional green spaces along, we're trying
I
not.
remember the one by Big Cotton when we went on that walk.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
It's really nice.
That
Yeah.
looks like a baseball field.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember that one.
Yep.
Okay.
So there are also quality of life elements, safety elements that are recommended, so land use changes. So your current mixed use transit oriented zone that is applied, we're recommending that zone be expanded out, as implementation and connections are made. Not to go in strategically, not to just go in and put it on willy-nilly, but as those connections are made to strategically expand your current zone. Don't think we had changes to that zone, no.
But there probably will be, I think.
Yeah,
I
but
think working with Mill Creek, we'll wanna do something that kinda
but
puts it.
as it currently sits, it is, there's nothing in that zone that's contrary to the goals and vision of this plan. It would be practical matters that Zach identifies in implementation. And then connectivity, as we know, with the barriers, that connectivity is a big deal. And then livability and urban design. So some of those,
Would we use the form-based code on the land use changes?
You could, that's definitely something you could do, obviously not in this one that we're working on currently. You wouldn't want, because we're focused purely on the downtown area. You wouldn't wanna expand that up here.
So what code would, the MCCD code?
No, so this already has a
It
code,
already
it's called
has-
TOD.
Oh, that's right,
yeah,
trans-oriented
Yeah,
development.
and it
Got
has
yes,
its
okay.
own, yeah,
Yep,
Yeah.
just
so
say,
we're just saying,
Yeah.
expand that strategically as the opportunities arise. And so you'll, I'm sure, have access to this presentation,
Yep.
and you can go in and see the details of each of those things that we've already talked about. I think we've talked about everything.
Cool.
I think we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Safety.
I'll just add before we end.
Yeah.
It's a very good plan. Like
Thank
there
you.
was
Yeah.
as I was going through it, very detailed and a lot of things I think we can implement, not just in this area, but throughout the city, like that we can extend. There was a lot of good things in there.
Thank you. We enjoyed doing it.
yeah.
okay. Where are we at?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a few questions about planning commission on these.
Okay.
Can I meet with you and, okay. Alrighty, that was really good.
It's really helpful.
We are adjourned because we have another meeting at 5:15. It will be the RDA meeting.
Okay, are we ready, council members? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Welcome to the RDA meeting at 5:15 Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. I was going to say June 28th, but we're not there yet. I would like to excuse Councilmember Paul Pickett and Councilwoman Rosalba Dominguez, and everyone else is here, Mayor, Brooke, GL, Jennifer. Thank you. First thing I need is the approval of minutes of May 21st, 2024. Do we have any questions or corrections from those minutes? No? Then would you like to do a all?
I'll make a motion to
Thank you.
approve the minutes from May 21st, 2024.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Can we all do a voice vote?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, so then we have citizen comments. Public comments can be made in person. Where's my, goodness. All comments are limited to 3 minutes or less, and please come to the podium, and Patty has the clipboard. Yep, she's over there in the rust red, whatever your guys, look at their color, your different colors for everyone. If anyone has any citizen comments? Okay, it looks like we have no citizen comments, so we will close that. We will go on to public hearing, consideration of a resolution adopting the proposed redevelopment agency budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. Brenda Moore is presenting.
Okay, we'll go through this pretty simply, quickly, I hope. The redevelopment agency budget. Let's get this. I'm using Zach's computer, so, okay. Fire Clay area, the budget consists of revenue tax increment of 1.9 million, interest of 237,000. We've got the expenditures split up, low and income moderate housing, 350, private reimbursements, the Murray School District, professional services, that's just for miscellaneous stuff that comes up, admin fees, and then the utility reimbursement that goes to, most of it is going to solid waste. Had to remember which one of them it was. We don't really have anything planned for the low moderate income housing. That is just the amount that increment will generate towards low and moderate income housing. Smelter site, no tax increment being received. They should get interest of around $95,000. We're spending down their low income, moderate income housing numbers for the homeless shelter contribution that we have to do. And just put a number in there for any other projects we have. Murray School District will not get any money off of this. Professional services, their admin fees went down. And I redid the LED street lighting because that project has not been completed yet and probably won't be. The lights are on order. East Vine Street, it's going to collect about $58,000. We are doing helping with the Vine Street Bike Lane road resurfacing project for the area that's in front of them. Trey estimates that's about $125,000 worth of expenses. Cherry Street, no tax increment. It's going to pay $30,000 in admin fees, and then we're going to find something else to do with the rest of it to improve that street down there. The Central Business District, tax increment of 1.1. Interest of approximately $47,000. We are still getting rent on a few properties over there. The general fund is transferring $325,000 to pay for this land. There's a couple more years of that. Expenditures, Murray School District gets a straight $400,000 no matter how much we collect. Professional services, that's so we can do things like what we're doing over there at the Townsend House. Admin fees, miscellaneous, same thing. Travel, that's to the ICSC, and then the bond property for the payment for the bond. And that is it. That's the budget for the RDA. Any questions?
So we open this to the citizen comments, okay? Citizen comments, fill out the form provided by Patty. State your name and your city of residence, and you have a limit to 3 minutes. Unless you are here for a bigger group, you will have 5. Is there any citizen comments? Okay, seeing there's no citizen comments, I will close the citizen comments and I will bring it back to the council. Council, do you have any questions for Brenda at this time?
I don't, I'm ready to make a motion.
Then I will take the motion.
All right, I would like to make a motion to adopt the proposed redevelopment agency budget for fiscal year 2024-2025.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay, we have a first by Councilwoman Turner, and we have a second by Councilman Adam Hawk. Turn it over to Brooke.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter.
Aye. Thank you for doing that. Thank you, Brenda. Our next agenda item, is presentation and discussion on a potential plaza to be located adjacent to the Townsend House, Murray Mansion, and Kuhu House, Zachary Smallwood, and Chalet? Welcome.
Yeah, I'll just do a quick introduction.
Yeah, that would be great.
Earlier this year, we had spoke about not moving the Townsend House, just based on how much it was going to cost. And then also speaking to a landscape architecture firm about doing some sort of plaza around the mansion and the Townsend House. So we've been working on that with a few stakeholders. We had Parks and Rec and a few citizens. They also had some conversations with some other key stakeholders as well. And so now we're here to kind of show you the final concept. So I'll turn it over to Chalet, and she can go over it with you all. So yeah, I'll turn the time over to Chalet.
Just with this one picture, it looks awesome. Just the first picture.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. As Zach mentioned, my name is Chalet Larson. My firm is IO Landark. We specialize in community revitalization through historic preservation, outdoor recreation, and creative placemaking. We've been part of the ongoing revitalization in Ogden for 15 plus years now and continue to do work with the city. We're also working with South Salt Lake, a fun art loop in Springville right now. So it has been just such a pleasure and a privilege to work with Zach and Phil and Elvon on reimagining this part of Murray. I think it really has the potential to really be the heart of the city and an amazing gathering space for the community. So with that, I will go ahead and sort of walk you through the process that we went through to get to this point, and then explain some of the finer points of the design. So just a really quick overview of the process. Again, as Zach mentioned, we identified some key stakeholders and we did some one-on-one interviews with those stakeholders, moved through an analysis and programming phase into a series of iterative design concepts, and then took those back to the stakeholders for some additional feedback. And the result of that is what we have now, which is our final schematic design for the plaza. And from here, we're hoping to be able to, at some point in the future, obtain some additional community outreach and feedback as this moves forward. So just really quickly, we talked, I don't know how much you want me to get into the stakeholder process, but here are some highlights of the types of questions that we asked the stakeholders. We wanted to know what their key concerns were for this area. We wanted to understand the potential that the space had for the community. We like our magic wand question, right? If we could wave a magic wand and change one thing about this area, what would it be? And we also wanted to understand the broader context. How do the challenges that you're facing in this area impact the city as a whole? And what would be the implications of not doing anything, of just kind of continuing the status quo? And then also, of course, how do you envision people using this space in the future? And these are some, again, just a highlight of some of what we heard. So art, public art, food, music, activities, really the potential for a festival type of street, to make it a hub of activity, not just during the weekends, right? We want 24/7 activation, maybe not 24/7, but we want weekday activation, weekend activation, business day, weekend, or weekday evenings. We want to understand the connection of this space to the broader community and make it accessible to the community. We heard more park-like spaces, more dining options, more pedestrian-friendly. A couple people mentioned the grocery store. Not part of our scope, but
Excuse me,
yes.
who were the identified stakeholders?
Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so we wanted to keep this we wanted to get this done pretty quickly, as we had mentioned. We wanted to get this over to you guys as fast as possible, because we know Block 1 is moving forward too. So we had the Wrights, I think it's the Wrights. Yes, the Wrights. The Wrights were involved. We had Parks and Rec, so we had Kim there. We had Rowan, who staffs the History Advisory Board. We also had Lori Edmonds there, and then Clark Boland was actually involved as well.
Okay, so it was a very small.
It was very small, yeah. We didn't want to broaden this out too much and take too much time. The kind of smaller the space, or the smaller the group, the faster we could get it done. It's less schedules you have to kind of maintain here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so just to give you a little bit of context and orient you to the site. So on the bottom of this image, you see Fifth Avenue, and the central sort of spine that you see with the brick paving is Poplar Street. On the left is the Cahoon Mansion, on the right is the Cahoon House, and the upper right is the Townsend House. And so City Hall is just off the screen up to your upper left here. And initially, our scope was really just to look at the area between the Townsend House and the smaller Cahoon House. But we sort of expanded that because we felt like there was a really great opportunity here to engage Poplar Street and make that also more of a pedestrian plaza-like space, and to give you more opportunities for programming. And then also expanded it further to sort of tie everything back to the Murray Mansion and really make some better connections to City Hall here. So I will walk you through some of the design elements, starting with the main spine, which is Poplar Street. This is really our Festival Street space. So what we're envisioning is actually raising the grade of the street so that it's all at the same level of as the sidewalk, which will give it more of a cohesive pedestrian scale feel. It will really, in theory, cars could drive down this. We could have conversations about whether, the pros and cons of just closing it off to vehicular traffic altogether and making it exclusively pedestrian. For right now, we're sort of leaving it open to either or. This is very preliminary at this point, but mostly to give you some ideas about the potential of this space. So you can see here we've got some upscale paving. This could be brick pavers. This could be stamped concrete, but just something to make it more tactile and more inviting to people. We're separating the street from the sidewalk with some planter areas. These could function as bioswale areas. Seating, lighting. We have more historic looking light fixtures with the ability to put banners on them. And you can see down at the terminus of this street is a key element in the design, which is a proposal to obtain a boxcar diner and repurpose it and bring back some additional restaurant space to the street and really have kind of a fun visual anchor at the end of that street. And of course, I'm overlooking the main feature of this street. The entrance to the street itself is a gateway feature, similar, inspired by this one that you see on Printers Alley in Nashville. But the idea was to kind of have a representation of smokestacks on either side with some sort of gateway arch element through the middle of it. And we're just showing some precedent images highlighting, some of the accent paving that could happen. The bottom image is an example of an art installation that, could come in and be suspended from those poles and be over top of the street. The next area I want to highlight here is the area between the Townsend and Cahoon houses. So starting with removing the addition to the Cahoon house, which is currently the Tea Rose Diner, and putting that back into what we're calling a creative cafe. So hopefully some sort of restaurant cafe use potentially going into the historic home, but then with some great outdoor seating and some kind of pergola element, and just spaces for people to hang out and gather. Moving north from that, we've identified kind of two major areas here. One is an outdoor game area that, we're currently showing ping pong and cornhole, and some outdoor chess and Jenga, but it could, again, this is very conceptual, so it could be any number of things. A major element in this design concept is actually, we're proposing to bring in and adaptively reuse some smaller shed structures as pop-up shop space for startup businesses. So if you're a fledgling young business, you could potentially have a little kiosk space that you could come in and open up your doors and sell your wares during festivals and events, and to help activate the space. We're also proposing to keep and reuse the existing garage space as restroom facilities for the site, and then add a mural potentially to the west facade of that. And
Can we go back?
Mhm.
You said in the Townsend house, there was gonna be a cafe shop? No? Where were you looking to put?
No,
No?
in the historic Cahoon house. So
Oh,
the
okay.
smaller house, I
Got
don't
it.
have a pointer
Got it.
on here. Oh, I
Fine.
do have a pointer
got it.
right here.
Okay. I was just,
It's Margaret's house.
Yeah, I think I fixed it and then resent it to you, but it didn't, but this is the older version, so that's what I thought.
is it Margaret or
It's-
Mary?
It's Margaret.
Yeah, I was confused
okay.
about what is
I
Mary's
know.
house.
I updated it on the slide and sent it
it's
over,
okay.
but there was some iteration confusion, so
That's
I
fine.
apologize.
Margaret, Mary, Margaret. Hey, it's an M. Stands for Murray. So.
So it is corrected on a slide somewhere, but anyway, I apologize. So so in Margaret's house, we're not necessarily, what goes into these buildings is a little bit outside of the scope of our work, but in a perfect world, it would be some sort of activating use, like a cafe or restaurant.
Okay. I was.
All right, and then here is a rendered image kind of looking northeast between Margaret's house and the Townsend house. And you can see we've got some decorative light poles with some string lights over this area, a bosque of trees, an area for games. You can kind of see the mural on the garage here in the middle. And then these would be the pop-up shops here. And then just some precedent images, a precedent image of kind of the vibe that we're envisioning for that outdoor cafe space. And there's also the potential, this is not permanent, right? But there's the potential to have some fun temporary art installations also with the brick paving and be playful. And then there's just examples of game areas and kind of what we were envisioning for those pop-up shops. Any questions about the
Why-
shops? And
Why temporary art?
I mean, permanent art would be great also. So
Okay.
in a perfect world, you want a combination of both because you want the permanent art investment. But the temporary art is great because it's always changing, and so it gives people a new reason to come out, right? So, because they've seen the old art. So it's the best of both worlds. All right, and then on the north end of the street, we have allocated some space for food truck parking. This would be temporary food truck parking, so these food trucks would not be here all of the time. But the infrastructure to support them would be, so some sort of overhead pergola element with picnic tables that creates some seating for when the food trucks are here. So the food trucks could come out on weekdays for lunch, or they could be here as part of a festival. It just gives people even more dining opportunities, and again, supports those small businesses that are operating out of those food trucks, and hopefully eventually they can graduate into brick and mortar stores. And then you see the Boxcar Diner here, which is a more permanent infrastructure. And here are some renderings. This is again looking kind of northeast. You can see the Boxcar Diner in the distance, the pergola structure and picnic tables. And you can see the sort of edge of the Townsend House there. And these are just some precedent images, again, showing kind of the lively, festive feel that the space could have. It can be really inviting. And on slide, okay, so the next area we want to talk about is next to the Cahoon Mansion. And we're really not proposing anything crazy over here. We thought it would be a great addition to this space to just have the open green park-like lawn. It will allow you a very flexible space that people can overflow into during festivals and events, and it's historically sensitive to the mansion. But the only thing, oh, I'm clicking a button here, sorry. Don't know what I did. Help me, Zach.
It's fine. We all
Oh.
do it.
Oh, we were
Okay.
just at the end.
Oh, I
Okay.
just went to, I clicked
Yes.
too far to the end. Okay. So the major addition to the space would just be bringing back some sort of historic gazebo element, which would also make for a great stage for smaller concert events, and just a lovely focal point in the landscape. So here's the rendering here, and you can kind of see how this plays into all of the other elements that are happening in this space, and then just some precedent images of sort of the park-like, ignore the playground in the background, and the gazebo. And then back to the overview of the plaza.
Thank you.
If you want to show the
Oh
flyover.
yeah, the fly-through.
It's just right here. So they did, as part of this, they did like a rendering that kind of flies through the area. So I can show that to you guys real quick.
Does anyone? Yeah.
No music?
No, no music.
I could sing if you want me to, but.
Yeah, limited budget. We can't afford a full choir.
I can hum.
Did you mean to have lighting in there? Oh, it's a person.
It's there.
Shh, nobody talk.
There's you, Adam, right there on the bike. Coming to council meeting.
Oops, doing it over again.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just let it play. Does
Yeah.
anyone have any questions?
Council.
Do you have a cost on this?
We have some very rough budget numbers, but maybe I'll let these guys speak to that.
yeah, as part of this, we've had them, do a cost estimate, and we can talk about that a little bit later. This is really just kind of showing you what they've been working on, and then, moving forward, we'll start to have those, budget discussions.
Okay, so this is just to discuss the concept.
Yeah.
Okay, when will we discuss the cost?
We can bring it up in the next RDA planning meeting and see what they, what the chair and vice chair want to, when they want to bring it up. As part of this, so we've been working on, with Chalet as well, a proposed, public outreach, kind of like, I don't want to say scheme, but,
Welcome.
yeah, welcome thing, like a welcome festival type thing, to kind of show how this will work, to get people excited for it. So in that, we'll probably start having those conversations as well.
Okay, is now the time that I can say, I'm wondering if we're putting the cart before the horse?
I mean, that's up to you. Yeah, you can say, yeah.
Okay, I think we're putting the cart before the horse.
And I agree.
Could you elaborate?
I don't know about that. My concern is, I mean, I think this looks really nice, but I wonder if now's the time to make a decision on this. I mean, I know it's for discussion and not decision. But if we have a developer come in and, you know, part of the development is this area as well, then it'll already, you know, this area will already have been developed. And so
Well-
that's why I wonder if we're putting the cart before the horse.
So if you remember in the MCC strategic plan, this actually was called out as a plaza space and an open space. This area specifically is taken out of the Block 1 redevelopment area. It is not part of the Block 1 redevelopment area.
Oh, I didn't
I
realize.
thought it was.
Yeah,
I mean, overall, the area around it is, but this specific area, when we talk to developers, they know about this specific place. And it was shown in your guys' MCCD strategic plan as well.
Huh.
Yep, it was right there on the map.
Could we, if a developer came in to do block 1, could that developer do this?
That's a question for, probably later on down the road. I don't see why they couldn't.
something like this. I mean, that's kind of what we've been wanting all
Yeah.
along, is this kind of a development area.
Mhm.
But if we're looking at having developers come in, I just wonder if this is the right time.
The developers know about this project specifically. The developers we've been working with.
Okay.
So when they come
With-
in, sorry, can I ask them?
No, I'm
No,
sorry. Go
no,
ahead,
no,
Mayor.
sorry.
You go first.
Can they, so when we meet with the council members, can they bring this up?
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh,
that might be a good
definitely.
idea.
Okay.
Yeah, you can definitely bring this up. Because I believe they have seen this as well. Yep. Yeah.
I agree with you, Diane, totally. I honestly thought this was all part of block 1. That's what I thought, but. Okay.
No, so what this all resulted from, as I kind of mentioned earlier, is that it was part of the discussion of not moving the Townsend House. because it was gonna cost over $400,000 to move.
Right.
And if you remember, back in that meeting, we decided, or I apologize, the board decided that we could go and look into developing a plaza space around this area instead. And that would have been part of the city's work to do that. And that's why you guys appropriated and allowed us to work with the consultant
Right.
to
Right.
develop this concept. So if it were putting it, necessarily the cart before the horse, that's why we we've talked through this with you guys multiple times about what we were doing and what we were planning.
And this is from the meetings when you had all the tables out? Is that from this? No?
No,
Oh,
this has been in the RDA planning meetings and then also in front of this board multiple times, authorizing the 27,000 to spend to develop this concept.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So from day one, even going back to the Eadlin proposals in the past, there has always been a public plaza called out. And so what we wanted to do was have something established so that we can tell the developer, you've got to work around this. Okay? This is what we're going to have a public plaza in this area. And when you develop your development, your pedestrian traffic, your various, the way it flows will work in harmony with this plaza. And if we don't do planning now, we're not saying we have to build this now. We will have cost estimates. We'll have a low-cost estimate, a mid-cost, and a complete cost estimate, so that we can possibly do this in phases if we need to, or we can work with the developer to do this in phases, or however they would like. But if we don't establish that this area is, so to speak, reserved for public plaza, it's going to get gobbled up. It's going to just go away, and we won't have anything to show for it. And it's always been a key part of the downtown renovation.
Right, so it is the concept we're looking at. We're not considering the cost at this point, or,
We will have cost figures for you to give you an idea of what this would cost. We're not asking for a budget to build this right now. Doug made an excellent point in our last RDA planning meeting that the priority right now is Block 1 and the development
Right.
of Block 1.
yes.
And we need to focus on that. However, this is a piece of that development, just as the mansion is. We're not going to let them tear down the mansion when they develop Block 1. We're not going to let them tear down the Cahoon house or the Townsend house. And so they have to work with us on those areas. And that's primarily, we want to show what's possible for this area. That's
Okay.
basically what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm
But yeah,
I'm
we're
okay with
in no way at a point right now where we would ask you to allocate money to build this and start working on this. This is going to come after
Okay.
many things are taken care of for the Block 1 redevelopment.
So we're still in the discussion phase?
Sure.
That's part of what this is about?
This is a concept of what we
Okay.
can do. This is all open for interpretation and tweaking. You won't know what the final product will look like until it's built.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Any other questions?
So when we get into money stage, will we have an à la carte option? Where, because there's some things I
Yeah,
really like
yeah.
and some things I'm like,
No.
I don't know how I
Chalet
feel.
she has a very detailed budget breakdown.
Okay.
And, now, and the thing is, there are estimates of each individual piece of this thing, and it's very, very detailed. It goes into utilities, it goes into pavement, the different options of the type of pavement you can have, whether it's flat concrete, if it's pavers, if it's stamped concrete. It's an extremely detailed budget document, so you'll be able to see what things cost and how that all works together.
Kind of like building a city hall.
Potentially, yes, yes. Okay.
Can I, go ahead.
I have a question about this, boxcar restaurant.
Yeah.
Is it, like, what's the vision for it? Would there be sit-down dining, or is it just,
I
you're
would
gonna
think-
grab and then sit around the park?
Yeah.
Like, what's the vision there?
Again, it's.
It could
it's-
go-
Sure, it's open for discussion. It was an idea that tied in historically with the area, and so that's why that was proposed. Did you have?
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, you know, all of this can fluctuate between now. If you would have seen the original pictures of what City Hall was supposed to look like, you wouldn't believe we're sitting in this building.
Right.
And so things morph and change over time. This is a capture of a moment in time. And part of the reason that we were showing this today is so that the public can now start to see this and they can provide feedback on this kind of stuff. You guys can start hearing from citizens how they feel about it and what they think about it. And you know, move forward with it.
Okay.
There are a lot of good elements here. I like a lot of things that are going on and trying to accomplish.
Mayor, did you have a
Yeah, I just want to
comment?
say, and I don't know how this is shared with you guys, but we meet every other week as an RDA and leadership, and so they've heard a lot of this stuff, and I'm not sure how, because that's not our job, is to disseminate the information. So are you getting, or I guess maybe that's, anyway, I don't know if it's getting to you, because we have this every other week, and there's a lot of things discussed.
Yeah, I was made aware of this. I just wasn't sure that, like I said, we weren't, you know, looking at this before we were looking at other developments and, like I said, putting the cart before the horse. So that was my concern. I was aware of this, but not really where we are in the process. So part of it I was not.
All right. Any other questions? Okay.
Do we have any other questions, Mayor?
All right.
Aaron?
I've got just a
Okay.
couple of updates for you, if that's okay.
And now we got Phil coming for project updates?
Yep.
And this is just for information for us?
Yep.
As RDA members?
Just wanted to make sure you take a good look at the Townsend House. I don't know if you've seen it in the last couple
Yeah,
of
it's
days.
looking great.
The roof may be done this evening. They're getting really, really close.
Oh,
If not
we
this,
replaced the whole roof?
the shingles on the roof, yes, it's all cedar shingles now.
Oh, the whole thing?
Cedar shake
Oh,
shingles. It is
because I
gorgeous.
thought we were.
And that's the last thing that will be completed on the Townsend House. So that one will be done, and we're in the process of getting the grass rejuvenated. The sprinkling system was turned off during a good portion of the
IFA is
remodel.
great for that.
Well, water is the key for it right now. It's pretty thirsty, so, but we're really, really pleased with the work that the contractor did on the house. He was true to his estimate and his scope of services, and so it's worked out really well. And I did ask him to provide an estimate to do some work on the other little house, the Cahoon house. It's in desperate need of scraping and painting, and the front porch decking needs to be fixed, and just it needs to look like we care about it. So I do have an estimate for that, and that is $35,000 to work on that house. So we'll be talking about that to see if you folks are good with going ahead and sprucing that up. That's nothing on the inside, however. That's not to improve the inside. This is strictly outside appearance, but it desperately needs it if we're going to keep that. And I do have an offer from Annie Sucre from the Tea House on the chapel, those properties over there. And I will be discussing that at the next RDA planning meeting, and we can decide how to move forward with that. I'm not prepared to share that publicly right now, but she has provided an offer, and so you'll be able to consider that.
And she's the one that owns T Rose.
Well, she owns the business.
She owns the business
Yes.
at T Rose.
Yes.
Okay. We just want a clarification for
Right,
those
yeah,
people
she
that
is-
don't know
Yep.
the owner's name.
Yep,
Like-
Annie does, she does run the Tea Rose out of that building there that the city owns. Okay? Any other questions on any of the other things we've got going on, or? Okay, I'll sit down. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well,
we have no other comments or concerns? Okay, then I will take a motion to adjourn this RDA meeting.
I motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I second.
It is now adjourned.
It is 6:30 and time for the Murray City Municipal Council meeting for June 18th, 2024. And I want to welcome everyone who came to join us. We appreciate that, and all the council members that are here. Paul Pickett is excused. He's council member for District 1. Pam Cotter is here, council member for District 2. Rosalba Dominguez is excused, council member for District 3. I'm Diane Turner, council member for District 4. And Adam Hawk, council member for District 5, is present. Also, we have the rest of the dignitaries on the dais. And anyway, so welcome. Let's see, we will start out with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Doug Hill to present it for us. Thank you, Doug.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks again, Doug. I appreciate it. All right. Let's see, what else? We've done the call to order, Pledge of Allegiance. We have now the approval of the minutes for a council meeting May 21st, 2024. Are there any changes to the council?
Nope.
Okay, if not, I would appreciate a motion.
Go
Go
for
ahead.
it. I motion to approve the minutes for May 21st, 2024.
And I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? If not, then would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Ms. Cotter,
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye. Okay. It was unanimous for the three of us. Okay, now, special recognition. This is a fun part of our council meeting. And we are honoring Calvin Atchley. And Brooke. And the mayor.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you want to first, or do you want me to just start?
Okay, this makes me think I should sing a song or something. I mean, believe me, you would not want that. Anyway, Calvin, welcome. It's so nice to see you. Gee. Anyway, so a little bit about Calvin. He's been an integral part of our records office for the past 3 years. And I've been there, and he's been amazing. It was so welcoming, and just, I really appreciate his being there. His dedication and exemplary work ethic have made a significant impact on the team and service that was provided to the community. Calvin holds multiple certifications, including Certified Records Officer, Passport Agent, and Notary, which highlight his extensive knowledge and versatility. However, it is his reliability that truly sets him apart. Calvin is consistently punctual and goes above and beyond to ensure the office is opened and ready to assist customers. His unwavering commitment to his responsibilities is a testament to his strong work ethic and dedication. In his role, Calvin handles hundreds of agreements and dozens of special events with remarkable efficiency. He coordinates shredding operations and is an outstanding researcher of records, ensuring that the office runs smoothly and the records are maintained with the highest level of accuracy. Anyway, Calvin, we really appreciate you. I'll give this to the mayor, and you get to give that to Calvin.
Thank you. Well, I've had the opportunity to work with Calvin I'm trying to look at the council and the audience here, but I've had the opportunity to work with Calvin every single day. Calvin is the one that gets me our contracts, and after it's been through probably 5, 6 people, and if there's something that needs to be done immediately, then Calvin is really great to send me a message and says, Mayor, we need to get this through as soon as we can, and he follows through. He's great with follow through, and so it's been great for the whole city that Calvin is there doing these contracts and getting them done immediately. So Calvin, thank you from the administration, the council. We'll let Brooke say a little bit more, but we just want to thank you. And here's your certificate showing the employee of the year and also of the month, and then also a $50, $50? $50, and then we know who that goes to, not you, Calvin. That's going to go to someone else, but anyway. So anyway, thank you, and we appreciate all you do, so let's give Calvin a big hand. We're not going yet.
I just want to say a couple quick things. I've had the privilege of working with Calvin for the last couple, 3+ years, and he does an exceptional job. He's very reliable, he pays attention to detail, and he's someone that I can just rely on in making sure that the business side of the city is moving forward. And it's so nice to be able to give him a task and know that it's going to be completed with perfection. And I just really appreciate all that you do for the city. You're the behind-the-scenes person, but you're always asking how to support your colleagues and helping them out when it gets busy in the office. And for that, we just really appreciate the value that you bring to our city and all the hard work that you do. So thank you so much.
Sure. Yes. Yes. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay. You can know the nice things that were said about.
Okay, thank you so much, appreciate it. Yeah, there's a few people here for, my wife Ginger, she's here tonight, first and foremost. She's the linchpin of the home and of my life, and I come apart if she's not there. So, I mean, she's the glue that holds me together and helps me stay glued together here and everything. So, I can't do it without Ginger. Her parents are here, from Tooele, so they come to visit also. And I have some friends from the Masonic Lodge in Salt Lake City that I belong to. Josh and his wife Lauren and Michael, who's the head of the lodge this year, known as the Worshipful Master of Wasatch One. They are here in support of me, and I'll tell you, a lot of people may not know about Masonry, but Masonry is something that really influences me in my job because of the principles that they instill in me, help me to stay on top of my task and everything. We believe in a very hard work ethic and serving the public, not just the public, but our neighbors, the community. And we do a lot of service projects in the community and fundraisers and stuff like that. So they give me the moral support that I need when I'm having a rough day or something. So it's, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have got this Employee of the Month award or anything. They're the ones that really influenced me, the Masonry itself, and then also my faith that I have, church I go to, the beliefs that I have, that are instilled in me, they help me to do an excellent job. It keeps me focused on the public instead of me, and that's what's more important. I think about the public and my family before I do myself. I let things go in my life that I would think is important, but at the end of the day, when I help others, that's the most important to me. But so I want to thank everybody, but especially tonight, this is kind of a bittersweet thing for me. My uncle, who is like a dad to me, he just passed away on Friday in Alabama, and he dedicated his life to public service, and he was the one that instilled the seed in me to want to go and perform public service. He was an auditor for the Department of Defense for 30 years and went to military bases around the country and audited their books, and he I just really admired him for the work he done, and I thought, wow, I would love to serve the public, and so he taught me what he did about government and how important it is to serve the public and put them first and to have a good hard work ethic. And so if it wasn't for him, I definitely wouldn't have this. So I guess the 4 driving factors that influence me is is faith, family, fraternity, and friends. And if it wasn't for all of these, I couldn't do what I do. And what goes around comes around. They help me out, and then I, in turn, return the favor and help them. So I thank each and everybody. But also, before I forget, Brooke is an exceptional boss. She has had faith in me from day one. Wendy, who's here also from the passport office, she's just tremendous, and I learned things from her on how to do customer service better. I mean, she blossoms at the passport desk. I mean, there's nobody like her. Laura, who's not here, she's a very great person, great purchasing agent that I work with. Luda and Jessica, I don't think they're here. And Chelsea's not here, but everybody in that department, it just, it's the greatest team of people I could ever be around. I mean, there's very little conflict, if at all, or anything. We all get along very well together, which, that's kind of rare to find in the workplace today. It's where people just really work together close. And I'm truly thankful to have such great coworkers in my office. So again, thank you, Brooke, for everything and for being with me through this time with my uncle and everything and all that you do, not just for me, but for our office and everything. You're the person that keeps it all together. So, but you're welcome. You're welcome. So, but thank you all, everybody, so much. And again, the Employee of the Month, it's not just for me. It's for everybody that's influenced my life. So I dedicate this to everybody from my family to my church to the Masonic Lodge, and especially to my uncle and my parents, and hopefully they're looking down right now and they're proud of me right now, so all 3 of them. So, but anyway, thank you so much, and I appreciate it.
Calvin, thank you so much for your service to our city. We really appreciate it. Okay. Oh, my goodness. All right, we are now at our citizen comments portion. And comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Step to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out the required form. This is not a public hearing. We have 2 coming up, but this is for citizens to address the council. So if there are any citizen comments, now's the time.
My name is Delenn Barney. I live in Murray City, not very far from this city hall. I'd like to thank the city and the council and the mayor for the nice centennial celebration that we had just a short time ago, even though it was 100 years in the making. Had to throw that in. I'd also like to especially congratulate Calvin Ashley for the award that he received this evening and for the hard work that he does and the service that he provides to us as Murray City citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Delenn.
Make sure he doesn't escape. Okay. Hi, my name's Lacey Parker. I live off of 867 Holly Avenue over by Wheeler Farm. I came a few weeks ago to talk about the possibly composting during the market, and I just came from a county meeting, and they are on it. But I've also been exploring Murray City Park, and there's a lovely playground for like 2 to 5-year-olds, and it's next to this pretty enormous parking lot, and I've noticed 2 problems. There is a glass recycling thing over there. That's not the problem. But a lot of people that go over there speed out of that parking lot quite quickly, and that is a big concern for me. And that parking lot doesn't have any trees or any foliage to create shade in that parking lot. It's just parking spot, parking spot, parking spot, parking spot, which is great to like get a lot of people in the park. But that parking lot, even in the spring, has become very, very hot. And I was wondering if possibly we could get some trees growing in there to create shade, or I was thinking to help there's a couple of buildings in that park. There's the Murray Rec Center, and then there's I think it's a Parks and Rec building, and then there's the Outside Aquatic Center. And I was wondering, I've seen some parking lots in the valley that have raised solar panels, and they create shade and energy, and then that would benefit probably most likely the buildings that are in that park. And I noticed that they're building another building, and I don't know what that is. I think it used to be like a pavilion, but they're revamping it. And last time I was here, I noticed there's no recycling bins in this like whole facility where like the public goes, and I would like for city council to possibly get recycling bins here. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Lacey, Lacey.
Okay, if there are no other citizen comments, then we will continue to the consent agenda, and Mayor Hales is presenting. Mayor?
If I could have Alex Motro come up, please. I can't remember. They're going to ask you what district. Do you remember what district you're in? 5. I told you it was not 5. It is 5. I said it was either 3 or 5, and for some reason I was thinking it was 3. So that's your counselor up right there, Adam Hawk. But anyway, Alex, we interviewed and had the opportunity to meet with him. You've seen his resume. He qualifies. There's no question on his qualifying for this position. We had a great visit with you, and we're grateful to have you on board if the council confirms it. So we, as administration, are asked that the council will confirm the appointment of Alex Motro to the Shade Tree Commission for a term beginning June 30th, 2024 through June 30th, 2027.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, if I would take a motion.
I will make a motion to confirm of the mayor's appointment of Alex Montroe to the Shade Tree Commission for a term beginning June 30th, 2024 through June 30th, 2027.
I'll second.
Second. Is there a discussion on the motion?
No.
Okay, seeing none. Brooke, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
You know, if she hadn't said aye, there's only 3 here tonight, and so all 3 have to agree. So you pause for a minute. Pam, you scared me to death. I thought, you're not in her district, so she wasn't about to put you through.
I was waiting for
You were waiting for Paul.
It was like, wait, it's my turn.
That's right. Anyway, thank you very much, and you're confirmed, and so it's official.
It
Thank you.
was unanimous. Thank you. Thank you for your willingness to serve.
His resume, I don't know if you council members read his resume. Wow,
All right,
it was amazing.
thank you. Okay, now we are at public hearings. This is where the staff or the sponsor presentations and public comment will be given prior to council action. And this first one is to consider an ordinance relating to land use. It amends the general plan from general commercial to high-density residential and amends the zoning map from CD, which is commercial development, to RM 20, which is multiple family high-density residential, for the property located at 5425 South Vine Street, Murray City. Zach Smallwood presenting. Hi, Zach.
Hello. It's like we haven't seen each other in like minutes. So this is a request from Brad Reynolds with Brad Reynolds Construction, as you had mentioned, for a general plan amendment and a zone map amendment. The property is located here at 5425 South Vine Street. The few people would know it as the Wagon Master. Most recently, it's been Dead City. And it recently, I think in the fall, I don't remember, sometime had unfortunately had a fire happen there. And has sat vacant since. So the applicant has come forward to request a zone map amendment for the property. Ignore that top square, that isn't the right information. So right now it is in the CD, which is Commercial Development Zone. This zone is largely used for big box retail, a lot of times along 900 East and about 60th, 5600 South. A lot of our State Street zoning is CD zoning, so like the mall, things like that. Pretty big in scale. The future land use map indicates it as general commercial. When we did the general plan in 2017, we didn't anticipate many changes in this area. But as the general plan states, things, market conditions change, and a lot of things can change. As I stated, this is primarily for larger retail destinations. This is a little snippet from the general plan, future, from the land use and urban design chapter. So, regional shopping centers, standalone big box, and yeah, looking for, around neighborhood and community nodes, things like that. The higher density residential section does allow for a mix of housing types, primarily multi-dwelling structures. Corresponding zone for this is the RM20 and RM25. Density range is between 10 and 25 dwelling units per acre. Use comparisons in between the two zones. So in the commercial development zone, you have variety stores, retail establishments, shopping centers, finance, real estate. Some of the conditional uses are retirement homes, department stores, pawnbrokers, tattoo shops, gasoline service stations. In the RM20, it simplifies a bit. It's pretty much residential. So you can have a single family detached dwelling on 8,000 square foot lots, 2 family dwellings on 10,000 square foot lots, or up to a base density of 17 dwelling units per acre. That's in the conditional uses here. You can also have attached single-family dwellings, so a lot of times those are townhomes. Also in conditional uses are bed and breakfast, cemeteries, parks, schools, and churches. So a couple of the standards in the zoning ordinance. The residential density in the CD zone is not allowed, except for assisted and retirement facilities. So things like now I lost the name of it. Never mind. It's on 53rd and State. Abington? I think it's Abington. That's in the CD zone. Things like that. In the RM20, it is up to 8,000 square foot minimum per lot for single family, or base density of 17 dwelling units per acre. Height in the CD zone is limited to 35 feet when next to a residential zone, but may increase 1 foot in height per additional 4 foot of setback. In the RM20, it's 40 feet as approved by the Planning Commission, or if they're just doing as of right, it's 35. Front yard setback is 20 in the CD, 25 in the RM20. No rear or side setbacks in the CD zone. In the RM20 zone, rear yard is 25 feet, side yard is a minimum of 8 for a total of 20 on both sides. Corner yard setback is 20 on both zones. Parking required for the CD zone is anywhere between 4 and 5 spaces per 1,000 square feet. And the RM20 is 2.5 off-street parking spaces per unit. Planning Commission held a public hearing on May 2nd, 2024. 48 public notices were sent to neighboring property owners and affected entities. There were no public comments made at the meeting, and the Planning Commission voted 7-0 to forward a recommendation of approval for both applications. So we're here before you tonight, recommending, the Planning Commission and staff are recommending that the City Council approve both of the requests. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, does the council have any questions at this point? All right, then,
Hold on.
do we have anyone representing Brad Reynolds?
Come ahead. I'll wait.
Hi, Brad.
Do you want me to wait?
No,
Second?
go ahead, because you
sorry.
probably could answer this, but, you know.
Okay. Hi, I'm Brad Reynolds, and I am the applicant for the general map and zoning map amendment. And I'm extremely happy to be back here in Murray City. We've had the good fortune of doing several projects here in Murray over the last several years. We currently have a project that we're doing on 5300 South in Allendale. And the projects that we've done have been very successful and have sold out very quickly. And we feel like this particular site has the potential to do the same. We think it could be a very terrific residential site. As you know, the last year or so, it's been very challenging for builders and developers with higher interest rates, and costs of building have not been going down, they've been going up. I think even though it's been challenging for builders and developers, it's been even more challenging for homeowners and future buyers. And we feel like this potential project has the potential to be very successful, like I mentioned, and also to meet a real need where it can provide quality, affordable housing. And we are excited with the prospects of this. And I think it will also provide a nice transition. As you look to the south, you have 29 units per acre. As you look to the east, you have storage units. And as you look to the north, you have commercial office. And we think this will provide a nice transition, as well as it will clean up the lot. And I think it will also strengthen the residential communities that aren't too far away. So we feel very positive and feel very, we feel like the potential of this site could be tremendous. And so I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do you have any questions?
I asked this question during the committee of the whole, and it just mentioned that you will have to create a plan and work with Salt Lake County Health Department. Is that correct?
That is
Do you know what I'm
correct.
talking about? Okay, and so you're gonna be working with them to separate the shared 6-inch water main on Salt Lake County Health Department property. It could be done by plugging the south end of the fire hydrant. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I do, and I think Trey had mentioned that, and we felt comfortable that that could be worked out.
Okay. And as a citizen, I love your work. I've noticed the one off of Winchester,
and also the one on
Thank you.
53rd. That's just it's not in my district, it's in Paul's, but your workmanship is incredible. And it will be exciting to see your plans. I can't ask for your plans, but I'm excited to hear about your plans. And I can't wait until the one on 53rd is finished and see how that is going to end up and looking. I've been told that it's going to be phenomenal. And thank you for reaching out into Murray and looking for those areas to be improved. I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you very much. And we're excited with the one on Elladale. I think it's going to be tremendous. And,
I
So-
talked to Susan, many years ago, a couple of
Yeah.
years ago, and she mentioned to me about the fence idea.
Yeah.
So I hope the fence idea will continue, but I
Yes.
just reading through my notes, I'm very impressed, and thank you for continuing to be part of Murray and doing everything for Murray and to improve the areas that need to be improved.
Thank you very much. Like I said, we really enjoy working in Murray. Between all the planning and building staff and everybody, they've been tremendous, so we do enjoy it. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay, I will open the public hearing for public comment. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and take it to the council for a motion or further discussion.
I don't have any other further discussion.
Okay, then I'd appreciate a motion.
I move to approve the ordinance relating to land use amends the general plan from general commercial to high-density residential and amends the zoning map from C-D, commercial development, to RM20, multiple family, high-density residential for the property located at 5425 South Vine Street, Murray City.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion?
None.
Okay. Brooke, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk?
So before I vote, I'm just gonna echo my concern for committee of the whole, that as we plan going forward, I'm concerned that we continue to flip residential or commercial properties to residential, and we need to be cautious of that going forward, of making sure we're continuing to preserve our commercial areas. But this is a good development, and so I'm an aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Also, this is in my district, and I've received nothing but positive feedback from citizens who cannot wait to get something in that property and get it cleaned up. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're on number 2 of the public hearing portion, and that is to consider an ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. Brenda Moore presenting.
So this is my fourth and final budget amendment
Sure.
for fiscal year '24, because I can't amend it after the year ends. So this is the cleanup. Basically, we're going to receive $243,000 in interest and $9,000 in justice court funds to pay for $9,000 for salaries and benefits in the justice court, a payout in the Planning and Zoning Commission of $19,000 upon a retirement, increase the budget for software and equipment maintenance by $174,000, and increase the budget in streets for plow blades and equipment maintenance for $50,000. In the general fund, we also received an EMS grant of $7,145, and we're going to receive that revenue and use it for fire equipment. We are also going to transfer in the general fund $20,000 from the prosecution division's personnel budget down into his professional services to pay for attorney coverage because we have been missing a prosecutor for most of the year. And then we're going to receive $105,000 total for water conservation grants to flip some of our essential turf, so the stuff people don't walk on or sit on, to more water-wise plants and xeriscaping. And then in the capital projects fund, I'm receiving increasing revenue by $695,000 to appropriate for police equipment, police vehicles and accessories, because we received 2 sets of cars instead of 1 last year. They were supposed to be delivered in July, August, September, but they were delivered in April. You can't trust the car companies, I guess. Their backlog is finally unbacklogged. And I think that is, that's all of them.
Did you mention the library fund?
Yeah, the library got
sorry.
$5,000 too. They're doing a very small portion of that water conservation grant.
Okay. Thank you, Brenda. All right, since this is a public hearing and it is open, I will take public comment. Okay, seeing none, I will turn it to the council for a motion.
I will motion to amend the ordinance for the city's fiscal year 2023-2024 budget.
Second?
I second it.
Okay, is there discussion on the motion?
None? I don't have any.
Okay. Then we will take the roll. Brooke?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Okay, I will close this public hearing. Thank you. We don't have any business items. So now we are at the mayor's report and questions from the council. Mayor Hales.
Thank you. I always have to say Diane, sorry, I was go into the formal mode, but I just want to mention real quick and tell, we are a blessed city because when people get up and comment, they're always kind. And Lynn, you're always kind in your comments. You may have a concern, but you always end on a polite note and make sure everyone knows how much they're appreciated. So that's really kind of you when you do that, and everyone. And just for Lacey's information, Diane did come in to us and visit about recycling bins, and that's on, we're doing that right now for this area here. So anyway, thought I'd report that. Also, the last thing is just to thank Kim Sorensen as our park director, Parks and Rec director. The Centennial Saturday celebration, a great turnout. I don't know how many people came, but it was a lot of people. Not quite like the 4th of July, but a lot of people attended. Adam, you were there. South Pacific, a great play. Really impressed with the performance and then all the things that were going on. I know some were out of town and they couldn't be here, but there was so many wonderful things about that celebration. And I just wanted to give a big shout out to Kim and Lori and everyone. And then we had every department, police, fire, every department was there supporting it. And it's amazing how you think there's just a few departments that are involved. It's everybody. Everyone has to be involved. And so thank you for your support on that, but just want to give a huge shout out to Kim for the success of that. It was really a good turnout and a well job done. So, well, thank you, what he said, so thank you.
And the drone show.
I know, that was cool.
That was cool. That was.
Seen that before, and that was pretty amazing, huh? Any questions?
Are you done?
Yeah, sorry, any questions?
Are there questions for the mayor from the council? No, we're all good. All right, so that's it, and we will be adjourned. Thank you for attending.